Returning to home soil, and for the first time since it happened on the soil on which they won the Asian Cup 18 months ago, the Socceroos, full of new faces and familiar ones, are ready for two big games, the last chance to impress before two World Cup qualifiers. The opponents tonight and Tuesday, Greece, a team way off the heights of their greatest triumph, Euro 2004, a new generation with a new coach looking to bring back the good times to a footballing nation, at least, that expect nothing less. Hello and welcome to ANZ Stadium, live and exclusive on Fox Sports for these two big games between Australia and Greece. Adam Peacock alongside the illustrious panel to my left, Mark Bosnich, Robbie Slater and Mark Rudin. Good evening, one.
Evening,
Good evening, all.
Rudes, how are you?
Bozza, this season keeps on going and going. Football never ends. Looking forward to these two games.
Yeah, very much so, for two different reasons. Obviously, from a Greece perspective, we want to see how they measure up. They had a disappointing qualifying period for the Euro 2016s, but they've got their World Cup games coming up, so it'll be very interesting to see how they put themselves out here tonight. And for us as well, we had a wonderful first phase of qualifying for the World Cups. We had a good night against England, although the result wasn't particularly good. And we're going to start now a very difficult second phase, so it'll be very interesting to see how we go.
Now, Robbie, so much talked about what to expect from the Socceroos now. And doesn't like the fact that we're underdogs in games.
No.
We're not in these two, are we?
No, in fact, he refuses to be underdogs. He wants us to be playing top 10 teams, as we did in England in their own backyard, and perform and dominate teams and win games. That's what he wants. Against Greece, look, this is a Greece that is very much in transition. Gone are the days of Delas and Harastias and Socceroos, and replaced by a new generation. In fact, their golden generation, much the same as ours, have gone. And so it's a new coach in Skibbe, and he's been there for 4 games. He's got a win, 2 draws and a loss, but he's changing the way they play. Of course, that 2004 Euro triumph was very much on defensive, zonal marking. It was a magnificent triumph for them, but they've lost their way since. We've seen with the changes of coaches. This new one, you know, with a lot of experience from Germany, Bayer Leverkusen, he's coached Galatasaray, he's got a great CV. Can he turn this around? On paper, their players are playing at very, very good clubs, so it should be a very difficult test for the Socceroos tonight.
Now, Rudes, back to us and your reflections on last week. And we were playing away from home, but in many respects during the game against England, played at Sunderland, the Stadium of Light, we played like the home side. So you expect more to build on from that particular performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since Ange took charge of this national team, you can see it's not just the results that matter for him. It's the manner in which we want to play the game. We want to take it to the opposition. And in this occasion, yes, we got done, on the counter attack quite often. But that's what happens when you play that sort of system against a team like England as well. And although the result didn't really go our way, I think the expectations of us now are so far and beyond what they were when Ange first took over in the World Cup. No longer are we just going to go to tournaments and just to make up the numbers. We are actually going to go there to try and be proactive, keep possession of the ball and try to create chances as much as possible.
Keep on taking those steps forward. And in a sense, even though the result wasn't there, okay, shots on target 5-1 England, but around that, the attacking statistics read pretty well for the Socceroos. They've just got to convert now. More possession, more total shots, more balls into the area, more crosses attempted than England. And when you have a look at the possession stats and the passing breakdown of last week, 100 more passes than England, fewer long passes, keeping it on the ground, keeping it short to your teammate, and importantly there as well, 18%, just 18% of them backwards. So it's proactive football that he's looking for.
Yes, it is proactive football, but the most important thing in football, and there's a reason why that is, and that's why the vast majority of strikers get the most amount of money and the playmakers is the last third. And that's where there was a difference, and that's where we were lacking. And if we really do want to make a progression right up the rankings and getting to one of those top 10 teams, which is a long way off right at this moment in time, that's where we've got to improve. There was one other stat there. Throughout that whole game, regardless of the dominance that we had, we only had 1 shot on target. That was saved by Fraser Foster from Robbie Cruz. And that's another thing there's got to be end product to what we're doing in the middle third.
Well, there's changes up top for the Socceroos tonight across the park, indeed, with news of that and the Greek team. It's a very good evening to Tara Rushton.
Thanks, Adam. Well, it was a decade ago that these two teams last met in front of 95,000 people at the MCG in a game to farewell the Socceroos before the 2006 World Cup. The Socceroos did get the result that night thanks to a Josip Skoko goal, and one man that was in the crowd was a then 16-year-old Postecoglou, who will be starting in Ange's side tonight. And this is Ange's one of his final times that he can experiment, of course, with his squad before the final phase of World Cup qualifiers, which start in September. and that is indicative in the number of changes he's made to the squad. There's 5 in total compared to the side that ran out and faced England. Matt Ryan remains in goal, and it's a new look back line. Jason Guerrier makes his Socceroos debut at right back, and next to him at centre back is Miloš Degenek with a starting debut after impressing Ange with an assist off the bench against England. Degenek is partnered by Trent Sainsbury, who returns to the squad, whilst Brad Smith retains his spot at left back. In midfield, Mark Milligan, he moves forward from centre back into his preferred position, and up front, Greek-born Postecoglou, who will be on the pitch with former teammates from the Greek youth team, is the central striker with Nathan Burns on his left and Robbie Cruz on his right. For Greece, coach Michel Skipe opts for a defensive setup. Borussia Dortmund's centre-back Socrates will be commanding their defence. In front of him, a man formerly coached by Ange nearly a decade ago, Andreas Samaras, will pull the strings in midfield, and helping him out, their captain Vasilis Torresidis, who plays for Roma, will be one to watch. He's a very apt defender who likes to push forward too. Now, Jeds, as you can probably see, the rain is still falling from your view up there, but we're hoping that that doesn't deter the Socceroos and that they can, of course, get the result here tonight.
Yes, indeed, Tara. Thank you very much for that. It was biblical today. It was unbelievable in Sydney, but thankfully the ground staff here at ANZ Stadium have done a good job to get the pitch up to scratch and the game underway. Before we touch on the team news, let's have a look at the history between Australia and Greece. 9 times the men have met in A matches, 3 wins apiece and 3 draws. The last win went to the Socceroos 10 years ago. Far out, 10 years ago already.
It's incredible.
May 25 at the MCG. The Josip Skoko bomb sent the Socceroos on the way to the 2006 World Cup with that farewell match in front of 90,000 at the MCG. But it's been pretty tight, and there's such a great history, and we'll have a little bit of a look at that with Greek Australians as well, representing the Socceroos over time. But the team news, guys, what do you make of the changes that Ange have made?
Yeah, understandable. We want to have a look at other players and playing in what will be a little bit of a different system. We played a diamond system against England, which worked quite well for a long periods. So I'll be very, very interested to see how they go. I'm very interested to see Mark Milligan making his step up from the central defence into his right position, which is in midfield. And also the young boy up front, which Robbie's going to talk about, Janu.
Yeah, Apo Janu, not getting goals at the moment for his club. Bit of pressure on him, given that he's playing for a team he's already played for. Yeah. November 17 against Turkey, Greece.
Look, you'd have to say this is an emotional night for him, and it wouldn't have been an easy decision, although, of course, he does, and he's certainly a part of the setup now. Yeah, Guangzhou RNF, he's had 8 appearances, no goals, so hasn't been a great start for him there. He did have a very promising debut against Tajikistan, where he got 4 assists, incredibly. He was very unlucky not to get a goal that night. But, you know, he's neat and tidy around the ball. He links up well with the players coming through. So he showed a lot of promise. And that's what we need, because one thing that came out of the England game, when you play top teams, and we have to put Greece up there as a top team, or certainly one in the not too distant past, we need to find the next Timmy Cahill. For me, that is crucial, because Timmy's not going to last forever, but when he's not playing in the top games, we find it difficult to score. He's got a chance tonight to really show us what he can do.
Yeah. So Janu, either side of him, Rouge, you've got Robbie Cruz on one side, Nathan Burns on the other. So there's searing pace. Take us through Nathan Burns and why Ange may have gone down this route instead of maybe Matthew Leckie.
Well, I think for one, Leckie needs to be rested. He got married last week. What
a great point.
But I guess, with Nathan Burns, he's moved to FC Tokyo. He did come back to the A League for a season, and he did extremely well here as well. And then he went back over to FC Tokyo in Japan. Hasn't really found his feet over there. Different type of game they play. But, again, Angie's looking to cover all bases. He's looking to try and get as many players in different positions as possible, trying to create some sort of environment where there's competition, real competition for places. And this guy suits the bill, particularly the way Ange likes to play. He's mobile, he's quick, he likes to play in those little pocket areas as well. So look out for him. He needs to take his chance, because they're going to be few and far between before the real World Cup qualifiers begin. Yeah,
he'll be fresh, Nathan Burns. Hasn't played in a month for FC Tokyo. In fact, he's played more in the Champions League than he has in the J-League so far this season. Let's get the odds for this one. Christian Jansen from Sportsbet.
Thanks, Adam. A much stronger Socceroos lineup than the one that did us so proud against England has us as the favourites in this one. And you've got to love the way Aussies are getting behind their team in betting too. Australia very well supported in the head-to-head market, and not a lot of love at all really for Greece. Now, if you're looking at the correct score, the last and only meeting between Australia and Greece finished 1-0 to the Aussies, which you may remember was played at the MCG. Now, Greece aren't exactly setting the world on fire either, having only won one of their 10 Euro qualifiers. So, will we see a stack of goals tonight? Let's hope so. You can bet on whether there'll be over or under 2.5 goals in the match. And you're getting a bigger price for the overs. Looks like it could be a bit of value there. So if you'd like to have a bet on the game, just download the Sportsbet app from the App Store. But please remember to gamble responsibly.
Thank you, Christian. Let's now hear from the captain of the Socceroos. He wins his 64th cap tonight. The beard is still flourishing. Mile Jedinak. Here he is with Tara.
Mile, as a Sydney boy, it must be great to don the green and gold as a Socceroos and come back and play in front of that home crowd here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, you always look forward to these sort of occasions, and it's nice that we've got you know, a big European team coming in and showing what Sydney's got to offer. But more importantly, there's a game to be played, and you know, we're all prepared after, you know, the travel and whatnot to get down to business.
Overall, over in England, it was a pleasing result, but now tonight, you've got to get the result.
Yeah, you know, the performance was, you know, it was good in England, and we know we've got to try and get the result tonight. It's going to be difficult, but you know, that's what we're here for, and that's what we've got to try and do.
And as well tonight, it's one of the final times that you get to tinker with this squad heading into the dates in September where the World Cup qualifiers start. So pretty important in that regard as well. Yeah,
without a doubt, you're going to get the, you know, I'm sure you'll get the chance to see some of the guys who haven't featured as much of late, and it's a great opportunity for them. In saying that, you know, we expect things in a way of playing tonight, and you know, I'm sure that whoever's called upon will be able to deliver that, and hopefully at the end of the day we can you know, in doing that we get the result we want.
Best of luck, Mile.
No worries, thanks.
Yeah, plenty of family and friends in the crowd for Mile Jedinak tonight. We're off to a break here live from ANZ Stadium. Continue the preview after it. We're going to hear from ANZ Postecoglou, and the boys are going to break down a few of the Socceroos and what they hope from those guys tonight. Back in a moment.
Semi-final, they've got a goal here. The heading power of Harris Diaz. They've scored from the corner again. Tears for Ronaldo. Greece are the champions of Europe, the ultimate outsiders at the start of the tournament. And even at the start of this final, it's a footballing fairy story.
A lot of people, Ronaldo included, still probably can't believe that actually happened in 2004. Leicester City version in international football.
It was mind-boggling. It really was. And when you think they beat the hosts in the opening game, which was a massive surprise, and everyone thought, oh, well, that's it for them. I remember we did it on Fox Sports, the Euros, and it was gruelling. And I remember in the preview, I tipped the night work, and I tipped Greece to go home the first, and then I didn't tip them for one game thereafter. Well, didn't I cop it from my Greek mates? But they were sensational, and the wins, and as I said, they beat the hosts on the opening day, and the last day they beat them in the final.
But recently, modern day Roods, they're stinking it up, unfortunately, international wise. Horrible campaign to try and qualify, which they fell flat on their face for the Euros coming up next week.
Similar to a lot of nations, I guess, if you could call them second-tier nations. And Greece, you know, although they've been top 10, you know, for a long time, certainly one win in their latest qualifying campaign for the Euros isn't good enough. Against Iceland in the last one, they were up 2-0, funnily enough, and they lost that game 3-2. In the first game against Faroe Islands, it is a country, by the way, and they do participate in the Euros too. The interesting thing, and I spoke to a Greek person at a cafe, Robbie, about this, and they told me a story about the Faroe Islands. I mean, how good are we when we lose to a team whose bus driver was one of the players?
It's like the old Socceroos.
Yeah. So right now the confidence is low amongst the Greek fans, but you know, they've got their time here to try and show, you know, what they're about. And they've got a lot of players, as Robbie mentioned earlier in the piece as well, who are playing outside of Greece, particularly in Italy. And it tells you about the calibre of these players too. They've got some really good individuals. Hopefully they can put it together under the tutelage now of Skiba, their new coach. Yeah,
they've got players playing in the Bundesliga, Serie A. They've got a couple in Belgium, a couple in England as well. So, Boz, you're going to pick out one that's playing in Serie A, Vasilis Torosidis.
Yes, Torosidis, their captain. He's a player that only played 11 times last season for Roma, but he had a terrible run with injuries. He's got wonderful experience. He came originally from Olympiacos, and he's somebody that they're going to have to rely on heavily to make sure that they get this confidence back. He can score his share of goals as well, but his main job will be to direct that defence and to make sure that everything's organised.
And Robbie, the player who's probably come, maybe Socrates at the back playing for Borussia Dortmund, but the guy in the centre of the park who ANZ Postecoglou has had a little bit to do with at club level when he was a younger man, Andreas Samaras.
It's an amazing story, isn't it? And Ange virtually launched his career as a 17-year-old at Panahiki. And you saw the interview in the paper today, and I think it was in the Telegraph, and it was in all the papers all over Australia. The esteem with which Samaras holds Ange in is quite incredible. They embrace when they saw each other, and he puts a lot down to how his career went by Ange giving him a go as a youngster. And we know Ange does, he's given, since he's taken over 17 debuts to Socceroos. So it's an amazing story. He's got great pedigree now, playing at Benfica. He'll come up against Tommy Rogic tonight, and that's an interesting battle. He's a tall boy.
Rogic's not playing.
Not Tommy Rogic, Aaron Moy. And he's quite a tall boy, good technique. He scored a couple of goals for Benfica, but he's virtually a defensive midfielder, good passing technique. So a very, very good story.
So many European nations with the migration that happened in the 1950s and 60s set up football clubs around Australia, and out of that we've developed players out of that to play for the Socceroos. The Greek heritage is no different, and have a look at this list of some of the players with Greek heritage that have represented our country. Charlie Yankos, probably the best amongst them, Captain Socceroo, who can forget that wonderful goal in the late 80s at the Sydney Football Stadium that he scored. Stan Lazaridis as well went to a World Cup. Jason Davidson is there because his mother, Effie, is Greek.
I tell you what, there's some fantastic players. Peter Catholis,
Jim Patiguis.
You guys play with
Jimmy Patiguis, fantastic player. Peter Raskopoulos, great technician. Yeah. We've had some fantastic players play for Australia with Greek heritage.
And ANZ Postecoglou, of course, those 4 caps for Australia, but now, more famously, the boss of the Socceroos, the manager. Let's hear from him now. Here he is with Tara.
And what a night ahead. You're a proud Australian man, but you're also a proud Greek man, and you get the opportunity to coach against your country of origin. Is there a greater feeling of significance or weight coming into tonight's game?
Oh, look, I guess there'll be a moment of that, but at the moment it's looking forward to another really strong international, and every time we get the chance to play, particularly here at home, is a special occasion. So, I'm just looking forward to a good football contest.
Some tough conditions perhaps out there. It's been raining all day, quite a wet pitch. Will that affect how you set up for the game at all?
No, not really. I mean, it doesn't really change our approach. Obviously, there'll be some challenges out there, with the conditions, but that might happen in the qualifiers. I guess it's up to us to adjust and make sure that we stick to our game plan and overcome whatever's thrown at us.
And another final chance, I've got to say, to experiment with the team yet again. Jason Guerrier makes his debut. How are the nerves, and how will he slot in at right back?
Mine are fine. I don't know about Jason's. Look, I mean, we've done it pretty consistently, and we'd like to think that the environment, as soon as they come in, they kind of feel pretty comfortable, and the structure itself will help them out there. But at some point, all these guys have got to play their first game, and sometimes you can't pick and choose when you do that. But look, I'm sure Jason and Milos, who gets his first start today, I'm sure they'll do well.
Thanks so much, and best of luck.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, blooding more players. ANZ Postecoglou, 18. Jason Guerrier, the 18th debutant under ANZ Postecoglou. Talk about building depth. Aaron Moy, he's performed so well since given his chance. Robbie Slater, you've got some things to pick out about this gentleman's game at the moment.
We're waiting to see where Aaron Moy is going to go, but what a performance against England. He was simply outstanding. Look, we know of his qualities, and we know how he likes to get in between the lines, but it's not getting in between the lines just in itself. He's got better at turning and facing defences. His short passing has been excellent. We know he can hit long passes as well, but it's also that ability to have a little look behind him once he drops in that space, and then he turns away. His technique's getting better and better. Little flicks, this one over. He can pass with right foot, left foot, and he so often starts that play from the middle third and then joins up to the front third. He created our best chance for Robbie Cruz. Again, very, very tight, but he's got that ability that he always looks like he's got time on the ball. Now, what we'd like to see him do, which we've already seen him do against Bangladesh, is do this more often. He has the ability to pull the trigger from between the lines. And you just get the sense that maybe against the bigger opposition, he doesn't have that confidence. But there was a few times against England where he did have the chance to do that. We need players like him and Rogic, when he plays, to start taking those chances.
Now, Boz, about this gentleman, these are the stats that he was
Yes.
the best on park at against England, just pointing a few of those out. There's so much talk about where he might end up, with all due respect to Melbourne City, who's still contracted too. Talk of Rangers and clubs in Belgium.
Yep.
Should he aim higher? And what's stopping him from getting to a higher level than that, i.e. a Premier League or a big club in Italy or Germany?
Well, I don't think the decision will be his whether or not he aims higher or not, because the bottom line is the majority of big clubs, vast majority of big clubs, they will basically say to a mid-range club, go and get this boy for us. Okay, and then they'll take a look and see how he does in a Belgium league, in a Croatian league, in a whatever league, a Dutch league, and see how he goes. If he does well there, then they'll go and buy him from that. So he can have his lofty ambitions by all means, but it's very, very rare that a big club is going to go buy an Australian player automatically and take them, unless they're taking him from very young, and they're going to give him a basically to finish off his education. That's how it normally works. There's an order like that. So if I was him, I would go somewhere where I'm playing regular. Look at Anthony Callick. He wasn't even playing here for Central Coast Mariners. He's already played for Hajduk. Already people like Monaco are interested in buying him. So that's a great example for him.
I think Moyes' performance against England will have lifted him up a notch. I think clubs will be looking at him that weren't looking at him. There's a fantastic stat. He's top in passes, in shots, but the one where he's by far the top in this squad at the moment, he's the only player by far and away 130 passes in the final third first time. That is so difficult to perform.
Roods defensively, a rejig for the Socceroos tonight. Milligan comes out of there, goes into midfield. Sainsbury comes in. What do you make of that little rejig, if I want to repeat myself, from Ange?
Yeah, look, again, Degenek gets his his debut for the Socceroos, and I know Boz wanted to mention a little bit about him. He was playing in a very tough competition in the second division of Germany, and it's really hard. If you can find your feet in a competition like that, you're good enough to play pretty much anywhere, I believe, anyway, because the German league is so
Well,
tough.
you played in that league, Rick.
Exactly, and it's so hard to play in as well. But Milligan, I mean, I thought he was great against England. He's the modern-day footballer, isn't he? He's able to play out from defence. He's great technically. And he sees passes, the forward passes more importantly.
He's got better with age.
I think he has, and I guess he's one of those players that have been thrown around throughout his career. He's played at right back, played in midfield, played as a stopper as well. I do know he wasn't happy that he played as a stopper last week. Yeah. Trent Sainsbury, though, he is a stopper through and through. He did start his career as a right back, but he gets his chance again. He's moved to China. A lot of people question why at that age, particularly when he was playing in Europe, in Holland as well, did he go to Asia? Now, only he knows why. I mean, the money was on offer,
money was it.
and I guess that's the most important thing for him. And it's got a long way.
And you can't blame him.
Can't blame him. If the offer's there, it's there, and it's up to you to decide. But it's going to be interesting to see his combination with Degenek, because for Ange Postecoglou, it's always important before we're leading into the September qualifiers that he finds the right partnership going forward.
Yeah. Don't forget and be very careful knocking the Chinese, because that league is growing all the time. Lots of fantastic players are going there.
You finished?
I'm finished.
Good. That's it, boys. Quick. We've got 15 seconds.
I'm going to go for Australia tonight.
Australia.
Yes.
The Socceroos, yeah.
Makes it unanimous.
Adam, you?
I think Australia 3-0.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to lay down a mark, hopefully. Gentlemen, we'll see you at halftime. Thank
you very much
for that. We are off to a break, and the first of these two games against the Greeks are on the way. The Socceroos back in action in Australia. To take you through it after the break, Andy Harper and Simon Hill. It went down as a defeat, but the Socceroos won plenty of respect against an England team bound for the Euros.
Here's Cruz, saved by the feet of Fraser Forster.
They were the better team in the first half. In actual fact, their passing was very good. They caused us lots of problems.
Now they're back home to face a former European champion.
Greece are the champions of Europe, the ultimate outsiders.
And there's reinforcements.
A tap in for Timmy. Regular as clockwork. And Matthew Leckie finally has another goal for his country.
All the big guns are back home for back-to-back games as Ange sets his sights on the crucial World Cup qualifiers ahead. It's Australia and Greece. Game 1, live and exclusive on Fox Sports.
Yes, a warm welcome to ANZ Stadium, although wet would probably be a more apt description.
for the first game of this Dodoni series, the first meeting in 10 years between Australia and Greece. Two nations with a long history, and there's a few modern-day connections as well here tonight, on and off the pitch. Well, conditions in Sydney today more suited to the National Swimming Championships than the national football team, but well, that may have deterred the casual fan. The diehards are here to see if the Socceroos can take another step on their upward curve towards those World Cup qualifiers in September. It's been a chaotic couple of years for the Greeks since reaching the round of 16 in Brazil in 2014. They've gone through 4 coaches, won just twice in 16, and arrived down under without a handful of their best players, but desperately needing to lift some of the gloom ahead of their qualifiers for the next World Cup, also starting in October. As for Australia, defeat against England may have been disappointing, but the performance suggests good times ahead for this rejuvenated Australian side. The question is, what sort of a test will the Greeks provide? All very different, of course, from the last meeting between the pair in 2006, a packed MCG celebrating Josip Skoko's winner for Australia as the Roos headed off to their first World Cup finals in 32 years. Tonight, it's about the 3 Ps: preparation, planning and performance, with Russia now just 2 years away.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthems of Greece and Australia.
Well, ANZ Stadium, a place that holds such happy memories for the Socceroos. World Cup qualifications here in 2005 and 2013. Plus, of course, famously, that Asian Cup win in 2015. They haven't lost at this venue since Uruguay won by 2-1 back in 2007, almost a decade ago. Greece, though, remarkably standing 22 places ahead of the Australians in the FIFA rankings. Despite finishing bottom of their Euro qualifying group, they haven't beaten Australia since all the way back in 1978. Well, let's remind you of the two-team lineups, starting with Australia. 5 changes from the team that lost to England. Headlined by Jason Guerrier, who becomes the 18th debutant of ANZ Postecoglou's reign. He starts in a defence that sees the return of Trent Sainsbury, and with Matt Sporanovic having withdrawn through injury and Bailey Wright suffering tightness, opportunity knocks for Miloš Degenek, who wasn't even supposed to be coming to Australia. Mark Milligan reverts to his more familiar midfield role, and it's all change up front with Nathan Burns on the left and Apostolos Yiannou leading the line against the nation of his birth and for whom he played once in a friendly. Now, Greece missing some key players, notably defender Kostas Manolas, striker Kostas Mitroglou and midfielder Kostas Fortounis, but there's still plenty of quality in that 11. Socrates of Borussia Dortmund marshals the defence. Vasilis Torosidis of Roma is the captain. In attack, Apostolos Velios had 3 years in the English Premier League with Everton and is partnered by up-and-comer Dimitri Diamantakos, the Karlsruhe forward, winning just his 3rd cap, and he's being strongly linked with a move to England this off-season. Home fans hoping Tim Cahill, no doubt, gets some minutes off the bench. Alex Gersbach may make his Roos debut. For Greece, Thanasis Papazoglou is an option. He's a real aerial threat up front. ANZ Postecoglou, born in Nea Philadelphia in the Greek capital, near to the AEK Athens club. And of course, he spent a short spell back there coaching the 3rd division outfit, Panahaiki, back in 2008. Mikhail Skiba, the 5th consecutive foreigner to be handed the Greek coaching reins. And just like the most celebrated of them all, Otto Rehhagel, Skiba hails from Germany. Now, delivering the match ball today is our Foxtel Junior All-Star of the Week, who's a keen player herself, a winger come striker for Southern Branch FC here in New South Wales. And her favourite Socceroo is Tim Cahill, a wise choice. And our match referee today, Junpei Iida from Japan, a man who holds the world record for the fastest ever red card issued in a J-League match in 2009. After just 9 seconds, he sent off a Tokyo Verdy player. There's Apostolos Yiannou. Interesting night ahead for him. He was impressive, of course, in his debut for Australia against Tajikistan. And he watched the last meeting between the two nations at the MCG back in 2006. And Andreas Samaris, a man who ANZ Postecoglou gave his debut during that short stint as coach of Panathinaiki in Greece. A debut for Jason Guerrier of Melbourne Victory tonight. Josh Risdon had his chance against England. Ange, of course, knows him well from his days at Brisbane and Melbourne Victory. And Miloš Degenek getting his first start after that impressive cameo at right-back off the bench against England. Now pressing the button for the countdown, Adam Carman, who's won a competition from Max Sponsor's Tag Heuer. So off we go at ANZ Stadium. Australia in green and gold, Greece in all blue. And the Socceroos defending a proud home record. Just South Korea have won on Australian soil in the Australians' last 32 matches here, going all the way back to 2009. And on current form, you wouldn't bet, Andy Harper, on Greece changing that tonight.
No, g'day, Simon. I'm so looking forward to this game. Australia's performance against England 7 days ago has just whetted the appetite. I'm stoked that the weather's cleared, at least for kickoff. There might be some more rain coming. And I think we can expect a really bright Greece, who are trying to relaunch themselves, really, given the travails of their failed campaign for Euro 2016, just days away now, the kickoff there too in France. So it'll be a good one here tonight. It's always good watching the Socceroos play, and I think Greece are going to offer some pretty tasty opposition this evening.
We're pleased to say that the rain, which has been torrential in parts in Sydney today, is currently elsewhere, and hopefully it stays that way. The pitch is heavy, but not unplayable. There was an inspection at 6 o'clock local time tonight, but Referee more than happy for the game to go ahead. And this is Jason Guerrier getting his first taste of international action, trying to thread one through for Yanu.
The two very positive passes from Jason Guerrier to get his senior international career out of the way. That was the second of them, and it was a good idea. Yanu looking to get in behind his former teammate's defence.
His clearance towards Christodolopoulos on the left. A little sweeping crossfield that's slightly behind Yaniotis. Continue the run forward as the captain Torosidis. It's a decent ball in, and stooping and attempting to conquer was Velios at the near post. A 6'4" striker, and a decent opportunity that for the Greeks. Well worked too.
Well, the real danger was done by Christodopoulos down the near touch line. Might have expected Velios to do better at the near post, unpatrolled as he was by the Australian defence. Very lively opening to this game.
Well, we sort of don't know what to expect from Greece tonight because of their poor form in the Euros. They finished bottom of that qualifying section with just the one win, and that was a dead rubber against Hungary. And Michail Skibber, the new coach, has only been in charge for a few games. He's promised a return to the days of discipline and hard work, tactical structure. Whether that means a free-flowing game, well, we shall wait and see.
It shouldn't discount it. I mean, they should be entry-level requirements, shouldn't they? International football. And when, as we watch this 90 minutes unfold, Simon, there'll be a lot of wondering from football fans as to how the Greece national team can be in such a pit given the talent at their disposal.
That's Samaras, who's got a whack from Mila Jedinak. It's only a glancing blow on the side of the knee, but clearly hurts the Benfica midfielder. Jedinak perhaps just stamping on the foot of Samaras, which doesn't tickle. So it's okay to continue for the time being. Degenek trying to read it. He's helped out by Milligan, back in his more familiar defensive midfield role today, and Greece have got another player down in Apostolos Velios. And now Australia have got a man down too. They're dropping like flies in the early stages, Andy Harper.
Given the weather, they're the only flies around at the moment, Simon. Velios just caught as Degenek looked to break through.
Same area of the park as well, that Samaras got caught by Jedinak. Friendly in name only. Places to play for, of course, for both sets of players. Greece begin their World Cup qualifying route against Cyprus, which, given the history between those two nations, the close ties, is another potential banana skin. And Andy, when you've lost to the Faroes twice, and then a friendly against Luxembourg, those sorts of games can take on a very different sort of a hue.
Yeah, there's no question. However, 9 games out of 10, Greece should be able to deal with Cyprus. 10 games out of 10, Greece should be able to deal with the Faroe Islands, for Pete's sake. Now that saw the end of Claudio Ranieri as coach of Greece, which just goes to show the vagaries and capriciousness of the coaching gig, because he's now king of the world, Claudio.
Yeah, he's rebounded okay, hasn't he? Holding by Degenek on Diamantakos. Interesting one, Miloš Degenek, just 22, played for the Serbian junior national teams. Was really off the radar of Australia until Aurelio Vidmar called him up for the Ollie Roux campaign at the AFC Under-23 Championships back in January. He wasn't released for that tournament. Since then, he's committed himself to Australia. There's Adam Goodes in the stands. Good to see the Australian rules football legend watching another one of his favourite games. I know he's a keen footballer as a youngster. Our variety of football, that is. This is Nathan Burns, fed by Aaron Moy. Moy's waiting for the return, but doesn't get it. Instead, it's Andreas Samaras to carry it forward for the visitors, and he's managed to slip it through as well for Jan Jotas on the right, who sidesteps Brad Smith first time around, and the Liverpool defender gets back well.
Hard to get away from Brad Smith, even though he was second best to start with, but he's got such great recovery. Australia's passing in the front half of the field, just a little out of touch at the moment, and a really timely cutaway, not to Ange Postecoglou, who's chewing a wasp at the moment, as you could understand. His team hasn't really settled. But that cutaway to Adam Goodes, I'm glad you referred to not just a great sportsman, obviously, an Australian of the Year. His fame and impact in Australian society goes beyond the white lines of a football pitch, but I have often, as many of us have, wondered what the fortunes of the Socceroos would be like if we could retain the talent such as Adam Goodes. Imagine him in the centre of your national team's defence.
Football Federation Australia well aware of that, of course, supporting Indigenous football programs. Notably the John Moriarty School up in Borroloola. It's here for that launch. In fact, it was at ANZ Stadium just down the road, wasn't it, a few weeks back. Good win by Guerrier in the air. This is Robbie Cruz. Had a few decent opportunities against England. Wasn't able to convert.
An outstanding opening half hour, Robbie Cruz.
Brad Smith on the overlap. Fires it in low. Good soft hands by Karnezis.
Beautiful combination. Smith and Nathan Burns. The final piece of the puzzle for Brad Smith at the moment is something at the end of his great work upfield. He had a couple of opportunities against England to cross and cause some real damage and couldn't, and same on that last occasion.
Aaron Moy with time to turn and feed it into the channel for Robbie Cruz. His cross deflected behind, corner.
More like it from the Socceroos. You see when they find their passing touch, and the sequence and combinations just beautiful, really. And Greece finding it difficult to stop Australia with that sort of momentum. Aaron Moy in the centre of things. Nathan Burns, a good return to the team too in that last couple of exchanges.
Jedinak and Sainsbury lurking with intent around the penalty spot, and Jedinak went for it. And there was a little bit too much contact on Orestes Karnezis for the referee's liking. Strong challenge.
Socceroos skipper. All for the ball.
Piling into the goalkeeper.
All for the ball. He makes contact with the ball as well. The fact that his knee led the charge to a degree, what a piece of contact that is. Karnezis, you can understand why he's asking for a little bit of time.
Well, certainly his intention was to go for the ball, but there's no question that he's collected Karnezis, 30-year-old custodian who plays for Udinese in Italy, and Mikhail Skuba. A little rueful shake of the heads. Here it is again. Eyes on the ball.
Completely and utterly.
But the knee up, and that was what did the damage for the goalkeeper.
Well, he beat the keeper in a fair contest. The point is, it's inside that 6-yard box where the benefit of the doubt, if there isn't, he always goes with the keeper. But Karnezis got no elevation as he came to claim that at all. He was pulverised by the Australian captain. And we don't rejoice in the aftermath, I must say, but it was a completely fair challenge.
Well, it's not a small guy, Orestes Karnezis. He's 6'2", which is similar height to Jedinak, but the momentum and perhaps the physique of the Socceroos captain. Maybe it was his beard, Andy.
Well, maybe there's something hiding in that
clattered
beard.
into him.
How did it get through security? I'm sure it's had to go through those checks. That is some growth, and I speak with extreme envy, because that would make an incredible comb over for me.
So while Karnezis regathers himself, signs of the rain starting to reappear here at ANZ Stadium. Greece do have Stefanos Kapino on the bench, who's even taller than Karnezis at 6'5". There he is, from the Olympiakos club. Plenty of representatives from the Greek champions. And let's have another look at probably the clearest cut chance to have been created by either side so far, Andy, and that was courtesy of Torosidis' cross. But prior to that, Christodoulos with a delightful crossfield ball.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And the secondary pass to the cross from Yaniotis, a former teammate of Ben Halloran at Fortuna Dusseldorf. And I'd suggest both he and Halloran came into Fortuna Dusseldorf as Robbie Cruz left. There's a lot of overlapping of the players' careers from both sides here today, and of course you've referred to the role of ANZ Postecoglou in launching the career of Samaris.
Goalkeeper's okay to continue, but he's not going to take the goal kick, just given a few more seconds to clear his head. Yaniotis first for the loose ball, and Torosidis again, bursting through the challenges. Velios at the near post. That was the intention of the Greek skipper. And there are a couple of little warning signs there for ANZ Postecoglou's team. That's twice now the visitors have broken through on that side of the park.
Well, I think it was a bad read from Brad Smith. He and Burns were the two Aussie players who were responsible for blocking that laneway. Brad Smith just charged forward. Torosidis got the better of him.
It's a good recovery by Nathan Burns. Geria. Milligan was trying to let the ball run. Breaks for Moy. Bit of space here for Burns, who'll fire it in low. And it's away for a corner off the boot of Socrates.
Not the cross that Nathan Burns was hoping for, and all the gathered supporters here. Beautiful lead up from Aaron Moy. Geez, in good touch. What a fine player. And hopefully he sorted out a few critics, if you can believe there are any, after his performance last week against England.
11 goals and 21 assists for Melbourne City. This A-League campaign just gone. What about this corner? Fair bit of pace on it. It came off a Greek head, I think. Maniatis back towards his own goalkeeper. Karnezis has just thrown the ball out. He's not happy.
No, he's off. He's had enough.
Not happy at all.
He's had enough, I think.
Well, it was a fairly hefty whack to the ribs.
Just
and
getting
clearly the movement is not free enough for him to continue.
Yeah, he got whacked. Look at that leap from the skipper, and complete commitment for the ball. Would only have been vaguely aware that the goalkeeper was in the vicinity.
So a premature and rather an unhappy end to Karnezis' night. And with only two goalkeepers in this squad, they must hope now, Mikhail Skibber and co, that nothing happens to Karnezis' replacement, Stefanos Kapino from Olympiakos. Otherwise, they're well and truly stuffed for the second game of this series in Melbourne. Here he is, the new man. Was the youngest ever international for Greece when he made his debut back in 2011 against Romania at the tender age of 17, and he's won just 4 caps since that day, so he's rather inexperienced at international level, and he is second choice to a Spanish goalkeeper with his club, so this is a big test for the 22-year-old reserve goalkeeper.
Well, this will be a test for Australia. Defensive set piece. Lots of tall timber for the Greek national team. We've already seen Velios with a header at the near post. Their only chance so far, Greece. Let's see what sort of trouble they can cause the Socceroos defence.
Kostas Staphylidis, who plays in Germany with Augsburg. He's going to swing this one in, left-footed, and he's going to try and find, no doubt, that little corridor between the goalkeeper and the Australian defenders for the likes of Velios to attack. Alternatively, of course, he could go straight for goal. The commentary curse.
He was hoping for a bit of kick off the pitch.
Didn't get it.
No. And both teams doing a really good job at trying to play football.
Guerrier just trying to cushion that header, but he was under heavy pressure from Christodolopoulos, and he feels unfair pressure. Burns was flagged for offside in any case. Jason Guerrier thought he might have had a free kick. It's a good header by Degenek.
And he started well in the centre of defence.
Very composed player. We saw that in Sunderland last week.
And just to finish the point, and congratulate so far both teams for trying to play the game on the ground and constructive play. Certainly the Socceroos, the playing surface isn't completely conducive to that, certainly not when you compare it to the Stadium of Light last week.
Yeah, that was a real carpet, and I know it's a bone of contention with ANZ Postecoglou, particularly at home. He wants good pitches for his team to play on. Tonight he'll probably make an exception because of the weather conditions. That's a foul, clear on Apostolos Yanu, who might come in for a bit of attention tonight, given his decision to switch to Australia. Although, of course, as I'm sure you've read during the week, he was actually ruled ineligible when making his debut for Greece against Turkey. And the Greek FA have been fined for selecting him because he'd actually played in a competitive youth tournament for Australia. And clearly the Greeks didn't do the paperwork. 9 fouls already in the game. There's been plenty in it in these early stages.
Yeah, good pace to it. Australia, as you'd imagine, trying to force the game's intensity. That's the way they like it.
Aaron Moy firing it in towards Cruz. Jedinak, who also had a very good game against England.
Outstanding. Actually speaking with some of the Socceroos coaching staff, I will hasten to add this comment didn't come from ANZ Postecoglou, the head coach. But towards the end of the game against England, the English coaching bench, led by Gary Neville, was imploring the English players to throw the ball long and kick the ball out of defence. Let's just see this one out. They were really rattled at the Stadium of Light. Happy to escape, you'd have to assume, with the 2-1 victory.
Yano brought down by Samaris as he tried to wriggle clear of the little trap that was set by the two Greek midfielders.
Starting to enjoy some territorial advantage. It's a very late challenge from Samaris.
A wild challenge as well. Well, this is within range for Aaron Moy. If his goals in the A-League season just gone are anything to go by. Wall of 4 for the Greeks. It's almost dead straight. Moy's going to leave it for Miller Jedinak. The skipper pulling rank there.
Think back those years as a Central Coast Mariner, we can remember some quite thunderous free kicks from Miller Jedinak.
It's good that ANZ Postecoglou has got options in that regard. No place in that midfield, at least from the off today, for Tommy Rogic. Might see him later off the bench. Nathan Burns can't win it, Milligan will. And there's no foul despite the claims of Samaris. And Aaron Moy has got a bit of room for manoeuvre here, and he's got Milligan available. And Burns on the right. They went centrally instead, and maybe Burns would have been a better option.
Yeah, you get that feeling, but the Socceroos under Postecoglou do like to play a straight penetrating pass more often than not. It did seem on that occasion that Nathan Burns was a worthy consideration. Cool play from Matt Ryan. steadfastly adhering to a keep the ball mantra, despite the pressure being applied by Greek players and the fact that the ball just is not rolling truly at all. It's bobbling all over the place. It's a great test, this, for the Socceroos.
Yano stretching but couldn't reach it. Postecoglou back to reserve goalkeeper Capino. Postecoglou attempted ball down the line. Has only found a green and gold player. Now Maniatis. That's a good turn though by Yaniotis, who's rated by his teammate Apostolos Velios as the best talent in Greek football, and he's perhaps showing why here. Deganek sliding in, took a little bit of the ball. Yaniotis remains down. Greece will have a corner.
He took a little bit of a risk there too, Deganek, but he backed himself. Just got the faintest of touches and copped on the ear on the way through. And a seamless transition to a senior international career so far from Milos Deganek.
Third quarter of the game. Greece is first. You can see the rain again coming down steadily, but not nearly as heavily as it was earlier on today. In towards Samaras at the near post. Cruz has been collected by Velios. Genuine attempt to play the ball, but both feet were high.
Yeah, I don't know how. Robbie Cruz had an aerial swing at this too. And Velios got there first. Well, how was one foot materially higher than the other in that exchange? I'm a bit with Apostolos Velios on that one.
Milligan flying in. I'll tell you what, Andy, for a friendly game, this has been one of the most intense matches I can remember. Well, for a non-competitive match. And there's another challenge that's bordering on a little bit naughty, is it? This will tell us more.
Well, Milligan flew in. That was fair.
Milligan's.
It's the Cruz free kick a little bit later. Robbie Cruz making his way away and up forward. This is a good sign. Just on your point about intensity, Simon, it really does depend on what the opponent's view of the game is going to be, because we know under Postecoglou the Socceroos are going to go hammer and tong.
Geria, miscue by Yanu. She's trying to atone now. Tied it up by Torosides and thumped forward by Capino.
And I would suggest, having done their homework, that Greece realise, unless they're prepared to roll their sleeves up, they could get a pantsing here in Sydney, which is not what they need at all. It's making for a really watchable match of football.
Cool conditions helping as well. In terms of the temperature, very much similar to a lot of these players and what they experience week in, week out in Europe. Looked in field by Milligan, recycled by Yanu, forward by Moy, touched by Cruz, and wide by Burns. Might have done better. What a lovely flowing move, even despite the pitch.
And again, who's the deliverer of the key pass? The penetrating pass was Moy. The instinctive one was Cruz. And Nathan Burns needs to score there. There's no might about it.
Maybe his lack of football with his club side, FC Tokyo. He's not playing a lot in the domestic competition, the J-League. He's getting more game time in the Champions League. Just snatched to that one. Nathan Burns, of course, another one eager to do well. Had a spell in Greece as a club player with Ajax Athens and on loan with Kerkira. So they'll know a few of these players pretty well. Cruz giving chase. Postecoglou there first. Free kick has been given in favour of Economou. There's another one of the contingent that plays his club football in Italy. His club is Bologna. Flicked on by Velios. Cleaned up by Guerrier. Burns can't escape the clutches of his marker, but gets a free kick.
Under really close scrutiny, wasn't it? Staphylides was up him for the rent. Nathan Burns was doing his best to stay away, keep the ball clean. First error from Miloš Degenek.
Spoke to Degenek in Sunderland last week. He wasn't, of course, part of this second Socceroos wave to come back home initially, and then the injury to Mats Baranovic gave him his opportunity, and he told me he hadn't been back to Australia in 5 years, so he was desperate to come home. And he's got his chance, not just to be part of the squad, but to make his first start. Foul count continuing to tick over, up to 15 now. This is Moy, who was the creator of Australia's best chance so far, squandered by Burns. Yaniotis running the ball out. Sainsbury. Awkward one on a bobbly pitch for Jason Guerrier. Tonight, when the players, certain parts of the pitch, and they're almost second-guessing themselves. It's a sure touch, though, by Lazaros Christodolopoulos. And on the left-hand side of that attack for Greece. Coolly done by Ryan and by Moy too. And then Milligan just let the ball get away from him. Samaras has it. Now with Yaniotis. Back for Torosidis, the Greece captain. Now back with Economou. Socrates. Staphylides. Socrates, mainstay of the Borussia Dortmund backline. Even more so next season with the expected departure of Mats Hummels. As we remarked in the pre-game show, Andy, you look at the clubs that a lot of these Greek players play for week in, week out. They're big clubs in Europe.
No question.
And it makes you wonder why on earth they've struggled so badly.
Well, there's no question about the individual talent. But the culture in Greek football is where they need a cleansing. I mean, in a broader sense, the financial strife, the austerity debate around the Greek economy would have an impact. But plenty of poor countries or broke countries have delivered super national football teams. I think, you know, it's the issues of corruption in the Greek football culture that really corrode the efforts of the national team. So you take individuals out of that and set them fair into Europe, and there's no wonder they rise to the top in the big teams, in the big leagues. And this is the big issue for the Greek national team, in my opinion, is cleansing the culture so that they can be consistently competitive, where as a football country they should be, because their talent is undisputed.
That's lovely work by Yanu. Milligan stepping in ahead of his man Maniatis. Milligan just assessing the options. Smith's cross, and it was tempting for a moment for Yanu, and then Jedinak fires over.
It's a really interesting piece of play from Mark Milligan, because as the Socceroos, one after another, beautiful bit of skill from Yanu, and Moy turning, finding space, and as Milligan was bearing down on the penalty area, I think almost the entirety of the gathering here was waiting for Milligan to shoot, but he ran into a narrower angle, almost determined not to take the obvious option, as it was to evolve and try and set up a crossing opportunity. A good chance for Australia that's come and gone. They're certainly looking the superior football team at the moment.
Clever play in the initial phase by Burns, and then Yanu, the latest recipient of some attention from Socrates. The referee's going to speak to the Greek central defender. Humisa.
It's pretty hard to defend. I mean, it wasn't malicious, but
still a foul.
Completely, obviously a foul.
Easy win in the air for Jedinak. Helped on by Milligan. This is Guerrier. Cruz with time to turn. Left it a little bit short for Burns. Cross deflected. Aaron Moy challenging aerially. We don't say that an awful lot. And now it's a real up and under for Carpino to deal with. And that's a big test for the young goalkeeper. Fresh off the bench, but he's dealt with it well. 378,000 Greeks. There's a snapshot. Goes over the top from Mark Milligan. Well, Greeks of heritage to that land live in Australia. And there's a fair few of them watching in blue and white tonight, and it was an error that presented that latest opportunity for Mark Milligan. Wasn't that far off, was he?
And you know, the question ringing around the stadium is, why didn't he have that intent to shoot last time he dribbled in on the penalty area? But that was a terrific effort. What a player Mark Milligan has become. A lot of speculation around his next club move, but he was quite superb last week against England as well.
Greece have got the throw, much to Jason Guerrier's chagrin. Just on Milligan, the rumour was there were several scouts watching him at the Stadium of Light in Sunderland. From which clubs, we don't know. That's a good touch again by Christodoulos, and diligent work by Deganek. A little bit hurried from Jedinak. Just on Mark Milligan, into his 30s now. He's always wanted to play big European league. This might just be his last chance, if indeed those scouts are from that part of the world.
Well,
and that's a late one from Guerrier this time.
If there's anything in what you're saying, Simon, then they surely would have known his age before they got on the train to go and watch him. And then having watched him, you couldn't have been but impressed. So if the scouting was serious and the reports were serious, then you'd like to think something will come out of it. Otherwise, it's just a bit of hot air going around the place. But you know, there wasn't a better player on the field as far as I was concerned. Milligan was outstanding. And he had plenty of good teammates as well. And how he couldn't have impressed if there were scouts watching him.
Torosides caught by Cruz. Cruz normally the victim. Certainly was on a few occasions against England last week. This time the sinner. Back pass from Economou a little bit short. Coutinho a little bit hurried in his clearance, and he's put it out of play for a throw.
Being put under extreme pressure by the Socceroos, which is something to which we've become accustomed. They can't settle on the ball at all. A very, very good performance, 35 minutes in. Minus the goal that they should have. Nathan Burns, the main culprit, but there have been 2 or 3 other forays that might have yielded more convincing goal efforts.
Trent Sainsbury to get things moving again for Australia. Burns immediately put under pressure though by Staphylidis, who's been very busy at his defensive duty. a dummy by Torresidis, experienced player from Roma in Italy's Serie A. Looking to set up another chance down that right-hand side. It's a good intervention by Degenek. And now Aaron Moy with the field opening up ahead of him. Leaves it for Cruz. Milligan square. Guerrier right-hand side. Milligan and Guerrier exchanging the ball between them. Two players who know each other well from their days together at Melbourne Victory, and then Yano is the latest to leave a foot in, this time on Samaris. There's going to be a few bumps and bruises for the physios to attend to at half-time, Andy.
Well, maybe some of the contact hasn't looked much, but can be deceptive. The only contact which was really convincing and did take a casualty was Jedinak and Karnazes, the goalkeeper.
Up in the air by Ikonomu. Jedinak had its measure. It's good work by Staffelidis to clear the danger. I suppose the only thing you hope for as a neutral watching this very intense game of football is that when the substitutions do arrive, and they will in the second half, being a friendly international, it doesn't slow the pace. There's a slice. Oh, that's a good save by Capino to prevent Ikonomu inadvertently putting Australia in front through an own goal.
Well, it was a wicked cross from Nathan Burns. And Ikonomu just sticking a leg out. And an awkward introduction to his right-hand post for Capino. I think he moved a little bit sluggishly to start with. I think his read of the Ikonomu slice was a little bit delayed, and he has.
He's taken a whack, hasn't he, on that post? Goodness me.
I think he played himself into trouble there, to be honest, but that's not to wish ill of him.
Well, this is the last thing Mikhail Skipper needs. One goalkeeper off, his only other goalkeeper needing attention as well. And he didn't Mark Bosnich have a bit of an affiliation with Sydney Olympic? Boza, go and get your gloves on, son.
Well, obviously they head to Melbourne after this game, the biggest Greek community outside of Greece, and there'll be a lot of budding young Greek-Australian goalkeepers who'll be putting forward their CVs if Capino can't make the trip.
Well, thankfully Capino's okay. Now he's got to defend this corner, which is whipped in towards the near post by Aaron Moy. Headed away by Apostolos Velios. Smith shifts it on quickly towards Moy. Happy to use Cruz as a decoy, and he fired one straight into Maniatis. Australia looking to keep up the pressure. Back with Moy. Jedinak. Aaron Moy again. Cruz just having a stretch to reel it in. Moy fires it across. And Yano just a metre or two away from making a connection.
Yeah, they're the ones, when they hit with that sort of pace, just have to be inch perfect. It's a beautiful build-up. And Moy just has to have a go from there. The angle's running out for him. First touch to cushion, it's beautiful. And then he just decides to whack it across the face of goal, and having taken that option, there's no opportunity for Yanu to adjust his run. He's just got to be right on the spot, and unfortunately for Australia, he wasn't.
There you go, 13 balls into the box. That speaks volumes of Australia's attacking intent. But again, yet to register a shot on target, Andy. That's a concern. Degenek getting into a bit of a tangle, and now he's committed the foul on Christo Delopoulos.
He says he won the ball, but it was after an illegality, and Greece trying to play quickly. The ball to no one. A little bit of a ragged session of play, or section of play there from both teams.
Staphylides. Christodolopoulos. There's another one who plays in Italy. He plays with Verona. Torresidis of Roma. And it pops for Christodolopoulos. It's blocked by a combination of Sainsbury and Guerriat. Still not cleared. Yaniotis trying to find the angle for the cross. Belios waiting. Aramoy to thump it clear for the Roos. Economou. Maniatis. Turned into trouble. There were 3 Australians around him. Free kick's a good result for Greece. Samaras down again. Off the pitch as well, so play should be able to go on. This has been the first half in which the Greek medical team has had to work really hard. It's really had to earn their money. So Greece down to 10 just for the moment. And Socrates having to hurry, and Australia all over the Greek backline there like a rash. Cruz to fire it out towards Guerriat. Back to Cruz. As the momentum broke it down. Oh, that was a wild lunge on Robbie Cruz. I'm not sure whether that might have been a penalty kick, you know, for the Socceroos. We'll get another look at it, I'm sure, but Maniatis was pretty wild in his attempt to win the ball.
No, I think it could well have been a penalty, disappointingly.
That's a penalty, isn't it?
It could easily be.
He's nowhere near the ball.
No. I mean, more disappointingly, Australia before that situation didn't make the most of that very impressive breakaway. I mean, they're just struggling to find a solution. The final solution has evaded the Socceroos to this point. And the issue to which you referred earlier, Simon, about the raft of changes that typically come in these international matches from about the hour mark. If Australia haven't done the business by then, and it gets very disjointed. I'd like to see them.
Here's Aramoy, just break away for a second, Andy, but he's put it too far in front of Brad Smith.
I'd like to see them confirm their ascendancy inside that hour mark, if it is going to be that arbitrary point in the game when both teams ring the substitutes. Aramoy is leading the Greek defence on a merry dance when he's got the ball and facing the goal.
Andreas Samaras is back with us. Greece back to their full complement, but he doesn't look to be moving too freely. He's only got a few more seconds to get through to half-time. He's leaping for a header here, which he doesn't win. Deganek almost presented the ball to the tricky Yaniotis. How about that for a pull down from Aramoy as we move into 3 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half. That one chased down by Burns. Here's Milligan! Great save by Capino. Away to his right to deny Australia a half-time lead. But there's still time. Jedinak. Top of the box is Yano. This is Aramoy. Australia buzzing around the Greek penalty area. Momentum slowed somewhat as the release was behind Burns. Back for Smith. Miller Jedinak sizing up the opportunity. Charged down by Diamantakos. Then he gives it away. It's great action for friendly fire. Cruz lays it back for Aramoy. Big chance here. Great diving challenge. Throwing bodies in the way of the Greeks. Recycled by Guerriat. Then Moy. Cruz. Can he find the angle for the cross? He needs a bit of help now. He'll get it from Brad Smith. A rousing end to the first half by ANZ Postecoglou's team. Cruz again. But it's beyond Yano and into the grateful arms of Capino.
That's brilliant passage of play. And 4 or 5 contributions from Moy. And Nathan Burns hairs and brings this one back into play and sets up Milligan for a great piece of goalkeeping from the substitute Capino. That's an outstanding save. For all intents and purposes, it's marginally behind him. It's a good height for the keeper, but that really should take nothing away from the excellence of that piece of work from the Greek custodian. And Australia came again and again in a really edge-of-the-seat attacking sequence. Great stuff from the Socceroos.
Loose from Jedinak. Maniatis. Samaris. He's almost playing on one leg. He just wants this first half to end. He's got to stretch for that ball and he can't reach it. Again, Australia applying the press and Greece struggling to deal with it. Economou scrambling to get back in position. Socceroos already want this half-time advantage. Samaris to try and steady things down. Diamantakos is then tackled from behind by Jedinak. Free kick, Greece. Now, how do you sum up this first half, Andy? It's been really good and very watchable entertainment.
Fabulous game of football, really. And Greece have come and acquitted themselves well, but they're under the pump. I mean, Australia are just playing so well at the moment, without the goals to show for it. Unfortunately, that's the bone of contention at the moment.
Maybe they'll get one here. Burns feeding Moy. Cute cutback. And it was Cruz with the left foot this time. But again, Greece managed to throw bodies in the way. And referee Jumpi Aeda brings to a close a frenetic first half. Nothing friendly about this. Greece have had their goalkeeper substituted. Karnezis replaced by Capino. They've got Samaris on one leg. Australia played some good flowing stuff at times on a difficult pitch. They found chances, or at least on-target shots. Hard to find, just one in that opening 45. Mark Milligan forcing a really good save out of the reserve goalkeeper. At the other end, Velios had Greece's best opportunity. Let's hope we've got more of the same in the second half, because this has been a really watchable first 45 minutes. But no goals at the interval. Australia 0, Greece 0.
Hectic stuff. Thank you very much, Andy Harper and Simon Hill. Stick around live on Fox Sports after the break. We'll get the thoughts of Mark Rudin, Robbie Slater and Mark Bosnich on that first half here in Sydney. Great to have your company live around Australia. 0-0 half-time between Australia and Greece, but plenty to talk about. That was a frenetic 45 minutes of football, especially the last 10 as well, where the Socceroos probed for an opening, nearly got one. Mark Milligan had a great chance, but the Greeks repelled all advances so far. Welcome back to the halftime show. Adam Peacock alongside Mark Bosnich, Robbie Slater and Mark Rudin. Bozza, I like that first half. It was tempo-esque.
Well, it took a while to get going, to be fair, Adam. I think it was quite slow at the beginning. Both sides were basically feeling each other out. And I think the Greece side especially was trying to work out whether or not the Australians really want to, to start really running them up and down. And then it really started to develop right towards the end of the half. Some great play right towards the last 10 minutes. Pretty much after Robbie Cruz was brought down for that definite penalty. A great save by Carpino in goals. And Australia, for me, were the better side in the first half.
Have a look at that. The one shot on target, that was the Mark Milligan one, but a number were blocked. Greek players just flying everywhere, but balls into the area. And the vast majority of those gents, Robbie and Rudes, came late in that first half.
Well, the more the game went on, Australia were just steamrolling. They were demolishing Greece.
Speaking of which,
about the goalkeeper, and he didn't last very long after that. But that was a dominant performance. Once they got control of the middle of the park, after about 10 minutes, Bozza said a little bit slow to start, but after that, chance after chance. And you still have to go back. All these chances need to start scoring. We need to get goals, from players that we're looking for. Cruz, Nathan Burns, we saw super chance. Mark Milligan's nearly had a couple from midfield, but Moy, for me, has been outstanding in the middle of the park, along with Milligan, and it's been one-way traffic.
Rudes, you like the ferocious appetite that the Socceroos seem to have to get the ball back?
Absolutely, and case in point right there, you can see how high the Socceroos were pressing. They were able to win the ball off the Greek defence high up, and every time they own that attacking third, wonderful save by the Greek keeper. Thankfully, he stayed on because they haven't got a third keeper either, Greece, so you don't know who's going to come on if they did. But at any given time, they're in this area. They've got about 5, 6 maybe yellow shirts, and what's really interesting is what I call the resting defence. Both fullbacks, Geria at times, he's up in the box, and then you see Brad Smith, who's in there as well, another super save.
That was a super save.
You know, you spoke about this save as well, but that's what the Aussies are doing right now. They're putting Greece under immense pressure, particularly in those last 10 to 15 minutes, as Bossa mentioned.
Boz, pen shout for Robbie Cruz.
Yeah, penalty. Definite penalty. I really don't know what the referee was thinking, because he was just late.
And it's a silly challenge.
And I think it is a silly challenge, but I actually think the number 2, Manatis, I actually think he's intimidated the referee a little bit. Like, he's got up straight away, look, and started to put his arm there as if to make it out that Robbie Cruz has done the diving, but
anywhere else on the field, it's a free kick.
Yeah, that's a penalty.
But he's going away from goal. There was no need to do it, but you should have given that. Maniatis diving
away
in
with one
late.
there. Brad Smith, do you like his performance so far, Roots?
Like him a lot. I'm not here to tell Lange what to do and who to pick, obviously, but I think he is the left back that's going to be used going forward. He's by far the best that I've seen play for the Socceroos since Ange took over as head coach. Not only does he create those 2v1s and make those overlapping runs, he's got the engines to do that. His delivery is good. He's always looking to play the ball along the ground. His rest and defence moments are good as well. I keep a close eye on that. When we are in possession and they're taking third, what does he do? He understands how close he has to get to his direct opponent, which means that when the ball does get to him, he's close enough to win it back again. Sometimes he's beside him, sometimes he's in front of him. So he's got great awareness and positioning. And really good player.
And his repeat efforts are incredible.
Yeah.
His ability to sprint forward and get back is incredible. He's VO2, very, very fit. It's ironic that for a long time we looked for left fullbacks, we couldn't find any. Yeah. All of a sudden now we got Gersbach, who might make his debut tonight. We'll have to wait and see, but I think he's going to be a quality left fullback. You've got 2 young guys that could occupy this position for the next decade.
Boz, Aaron Moy, his performance so far?
Very good. But once again, coming off the back of what Robbie said at the start of the game, I want to see him pull the trigger. There's only so many times you can look for that pass. People are actually starting to drop off. The Greek players won't be too familiar with him. They may have had a couple of video sessions, but they will be after the first 45 minutes. So there's only so many times that they're going to keep dropping off, because they know he loves to pass it. He's got to start taking responsibility himself and either pull the trigger, or even just go on a run yourself and start committing Greek players and try to take them on and go all the way in. So we just want that little bit more as well from Australia in that last third. We spoke about it. That's where the difference is made. They've got to start putting away these chances.
Not a great deal needs to be tinkered with, though, at half-time.
No, look, to be fair, tonight it's about the final touch. Yep. Against England, it was actually getting into the front third and creating chances. Tonight, I feel it's really the final touch, but you've still got to do it. That's why, and Bossa said it in the pre-game, the best paid players in the world, the players that the clubs all want are goal scorers, guys who put the ball in the back of the net.
Hopefully there's 1 or 2 or 3 of those in gold shirts coming in the second half. We're off to a break. That second half is not too far away. Welcome back. Almost set for the second half here at ANZ Stadium on a rainy night in Sydney. That hasn't deterred the Socceroos, at least, from throwing themselves around. Haven't got the breakthrough yet. You'd imagine it is coming with those last 10 minutes and them piling on the pressure on the visitors. Greece, who we didn't really talk a hell of a lot about in the first part of our half-time show. Roots, to you about what they provided and anyone that stands out, or what do you expect from them in the second half?
The captain Torresidis, I think he's been sensational at right back, and you can see why he plays for Roma as well. And we spoke about this before the game. 9 out of the 11 starting players do play outside of Greece, and they're playing for some really good clubs. When you look at our side, and we've also got 9 out of 11 who are playing outside of Australia, but 4 of those are playing in Asia. And I think that's where we need to get to, and Ange keeps talking about it as well. But certainly in the initial stages, they got down that right-hand side quite often. Yeah. I think they looked to attack our left-hand side of defence, and they got some joy out of that. And hopefully a better showing in the second half, because the last 10-15 minutes, we were the much better side.
Yeah, little number 7 was busy at times, Yaniadis, but as the longer the half went on, you saw Diamantakos, Velios, virtually the whole side were back in their own half, and it really was a demolition job that last 10 minutes without the goal they probably deserved.
Ange has the whole squad at his disposal that's here, apart from Bailey Wright. Boz, give us some names you'd like to see thrown on there.
Timmy Cahill, because including myself, I think there's close to 40,000 people here. And I think 39,000 people, 999, including me, which will make 40,000, are here to see him. And if he comes on, he will score.
Well, with you on, it could be 40,001.
Gentlemen, thank you for that. We'll see you for the post-game analysis. We're going to talk to the man of the matchup here, also ANZ Postecoglou, and his thoughts on what is hopefully a success and a successful second half of the Socceroos. Back to Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Big 12 months coming up for the Roos and for ANZ Postecoglou. Deep in conversation with Socrates, the Greek defender. They, of course, have got the World Cup qualifiers, as we've already mentioned, starting later on in the year. And this time next year, they'll be heading to Russia to play in the Confederations Cup. A nice little warm-up, that's, for the World Cup finals to come in 2018, providing the Roos qualify, but you'd imagine they'd be favoured to do so, even though they have a tough group. And this is a tough night, not just in terms of the conditions, but Greece have fought pretty hard in that first half. Just as it was coming to the 45-minute mark, you did sense that Australia was starting to really gain the upper hand. Changes afoot perhaps for Australia, but not just yet. Tim Cahill, as has already been mentioned in the half-time show, one of those available. I'm sure the crowd here would love to see him, and also, of course, importantly, he provides that missing ingredient for Australia, and that is goals. Greece, though, are going to make a change. They're going to bring on Jose Holebas, who fans of the Premier League might know. He plays for Watford, and he is taking the place of Christodolopoulos. And we got a second change as well. The striker Diamantakos, who's struggled really to make an impact in that opening 45 minutes, to be replaced by one of the debutants. There are only two in this Greek squad, Tassos Bakasetas from the Panionios club. 12 goals in 43 games for his club this season just gone. And he's rumoured to be signing for Ajax Athens before the next domestic campaign gets underway. But he's on for his international debut for Greece. So a couple of changes for the visitors, Andy Harper, not yet for Australia. But overall, that first half performance, something that ANZ Postecoglou will give a tick to or not?
Yeah, definitely, Simon. I think it was a really good first half.
Let's just see how this develops. Drilled across, or at least attempted to be so, by Holebas, one of the new men.
The only issue, and you know, issues too broad a term.
Holebas again. Yaniotis jinking his way past Brad Smith. It's not a bad ball in, it's too high for Guerrier. And Mark Milligan positioned well, as he so often is.
Brilliant anticipation from Milligan. And the only problem in the first half, which arose on 2 or 3 occasions, was our left-hand side defending. Placides got down and deep and dangerous with a couple of crosses. And Brad Smith's decision-making on 1 or 2 occasions, no more than that. The only areas of concern, really, out of that first half. Just a very buoyant, powerful display by Mile Jedinek's team. Aaron Moy, another fabulous first half, and just the cutting edge in the penalty area was missing again. So I could almost feel completely confident in saying that whilst everyone's going to love to see Timmy Cahill come on and score the goal, Postecoglou will want someone else to have settled the matter before that happens, if you know what I mean. They've played well enough to be in the lead. 2 or 3 great chances. 6 or 7 really enervating passages of play. And nothing to show for it at the end. Coutinho with that outstanding save off Mark Milligan. And Nathan Burns with that one-on-one chance that he missed, the 2 outstanding opportunities.
We thought we had that question answered, didn't we, in recent months? If Timmy Cahill doesn't score, who does? Maybe just started to creep back into the conversation.
Well, it's never far away when any team doesn't score, even for a game.
Cruz looking for a free kick, didn't get it. It's tidy work by Samaris, who's reappeared for the second half despite suffering from a couple of bangs and bruises. First 45. Staphylidis trying to get back in position, but Australia have the ball, and a combination between Yano and Burns, not quite there. Just as it looked to be opening up for a moment or two for Australia. This is the impressive Torresidis. And fires it across field for Jose Holebas. Timmy Cahill getting ready on the sidelines. Greece continuing their attack through Kostas Staphylidis. He'll hook it back towards the top of the penalty area. Yanu can't control it. He gets a second bite at it. Samaris is too strong. Staphylidis attempted 1-2 with Holebas. Tied it up by the ever-efficient Trent Sainsbury. Yanu. Cruz. Burns. With Socrates for company. They switch it inside instead for Yano. This is good build-up play by Australia. Cruz trying to hang it up for Milligan. Carpino claims. There's no let-up in the tempo at the start of this second half, which is good to see.
Yeah, indeed. This is a wonderful time to be a Socceroos supporter, Simon. Not the support for the national team in the community wavers necessarily, but this team is so exciting, the brand of football they play.
It's one of those exciting players. Aaron Moy just trying to poke it through for Cruz. Staphylidis' presence was enough. Strong play by the fullback. And then by Socrates. Look at the desperation to win the ball back from Australia. It's with Jedinak. This is Brad Smith. Time to measure the cross, perhaps. Cuts it back for Moy instead. Smith again. Brad Smith, who's now made more appearances for Australia than he's actually made for his club side, Liverpool. And that's a foul on Robbie Cruz.
We've had a couple of left-backs recently for whom we could have said that. David Carney comes to mind.
Jedinak eager to get on with things. Smith. Good pace on the ball for Cruz. And another foul, this time right on the edge of the box by Samaris.
Well, they set him up nicely. And the Socceroos have earned this right to pass the ball around the midfield, around the edge of the Greek penalty area, with the Greece defence set, but standing off, crucially. And Australia has earned that right, that time on the ball, because they've penetrated the Greek structure on more than one occasion. And it means the defenders then stand off. And then it means, from that position of ascendancy, the Socceroos can keep moving the ball around the danger zone and win this crucial free kick.
Is it going to be Moy or Jedinak this time? Jedinak had a go in the first half. Carpino has his wall guarding that near post. It's just half a metre off his line. It's going to be Jedinak again, and that's twice he's put it over the top of the crossbar. Surely the next one's got to be Aaron Moyes.
Well, he got closer with this one. Got it up and over, but couldn't get it down, importantly.
Moving past Brett Holman by winning his 64th cap tonight. Mele Jedinak just one behind one of the legendary names of football in Australia, Peter Wilson. He played for his country on 65 occasions. Torresidis. most impressive Greek players. Yaniotis trying to burst through. Tied it up by Degenek. Played out by Ryan to Milligan. He's being harried by Maniatis. Cruz, good turn. Geria on his bike down the right. What about the cross? It's good! Yanu! What a chance, and the flag was up anyway against Apostolos Yanu, but he wasn't to know that.
So, Simon,
lightning quick attack by Australia.
If you want to know about the Postecoglou coaching philosophy, cut and paste this entire move. This is the tail end of it. It's a great call from the assistant because Yanu is offside. And had it gone in, it wouldn't and shouldn't have counted. But it's a brilliant scything attack. And you put that together from the moment Australia won the ball and the penetrating nature of the passes. And if you want to know what Postecoglou's coaching mantra is all about, we just saw it in that move. And such a pity it didn't finish with a goal.
Milligan. Good layoff by Yanu. Australia just started to hit their straps again. It's a fair challenge by Socrates.
It was a good... They've actually scrambled really well. Socrates, on 2 or 3 occasions now, has thrown himself desperately. That was a good, well-timed sliding tackle. You think to the first half in their own penalty area, as Greek players were throwing themselves to block Aaron Moy's shot, to block Mark Milligan's shot. They have scrambled very, very well. And I want to make this point at this stage in the game and at this stage of this team's development, Simon. The way this team is playing is not for nothing. Postecoglou has done a brilliant job. And you have to look only, do a biopsy of our team and take Mile Jedinak as an example. Now, we were at the Cup final, Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. And the talent was skewed heavily in favour of Man United. I think it's...
Here's Robbie Cruz, again trying to close in on Socrates. And again, that's very cool and composed play by the Borussia Dortmund central defender.
I think it's certainly fair to say that cup final, the talent was skewed the way of Man United over Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace then played the way they played. You're not going to convince me that that talent differential wasn't replicated when Mile led the Socceroos out against England last week. And I'd put it to you that Mile Jedinak passed the ball more in that game against England almost than he would have all season at Crystal Palace. And the key difference between the two, they both start with P, Pardew and Postecoglou, but they're a mile apart as far as philosophy is concerned. That's just one example.
Another change by the Greeks. Samaris, who was in the wars a bit first half, he's lasted 10 minutes of the second. And he's finally had his number called, and Panagiotis Tatsidis, another one of the Italian brigade who plays for Genoa in that part of the world, is going to take his spot. Good passer of the ball, not particularly athletic. He'll just sit in that defensive midfield role, vacated by Samaris. Physical contest between Yaniotis and Smith. Greek winger thought that was unfair. The referee didn't.
So the coaching staff for Greece, they've gone off like the proverbials, but you couldn't say that their team hasn't tackled vigorously as well. It's been a good physical contest.
Mikhail Skiba is deep in conversation with the fourth official. He's particularly unhappy. They didn't get the whistle some moments ago. Challenged by Smith. Miscontrol by Burns. Might have been a foul in there as well. Advantage played. This is Socrates being pursued by Milligan. Maniatis. Laid off by Holebas and then went for the return, which was beyond him. Still no changes for the Socceroos. Don't think that's going to last too much longer. It's another free kick. This time the infringement by one of the new boys, Tatsidis. Told that Robbie Cruz has suffered 7 fouls already tonight. There's a chance of a break for Greece. Torosudis making up the ground on the right. Full of energy, the 30-year-old. Crosses way too close to Matt Ryan.
He's been dangerous, Torosudis. He's been Greece's most consistent player this evening, as far as I'm concerned.
Cruz just waiting for the ball to run onto him. Look at the space here for Aramoy. Maybe he had too long. Had so many options there, the Melbourne City midfielder. Now Greece do get a decision. Michael Skibber almost demanded that. There's Samaris with left thigh heavily iced, and a hug between the player and his former coach. They exchanged a very warm embrace at the press conference yesterday. Huge mutual respect between Samaris and Postecoglou. Who is now preparing the Socceroos' first changes. Being posted on that. Meantime, Australia just went to sleep for a minute there, and Velios, had his touch been surer, would have been through one-on-one with Matt Ryan. And credit to Trent Sainsbury, who managed to scramble well enough to avert the danger. Here's the changes. Matt Leckie got married last week. That's why he missed the friendly with England. Congratulations to him and his new wife. He's replacing Robbie Cruz. And we're also going to see Tommy Rogic on in place of Aaron Moy, Andy.
And another fabulous outing from Aaron Moy. A pity that his last possession ended up him just being a little bit asleep at the wheel. That's a great recovery from Trent Sainsbury, who now welcomes another former Mariner, Tommy Rogic, onto the Olympic Stadium here in Sydney. Fabulous game from him in England last week as well. And Robbie Cruz departs, and the man who clocked the fastest speed in the Bundesliga this year, Matt Leckie, takes his place.
This is Torosudis. Greece have posed the occasional threat, and a lot of their good work has come down this right-hand side and has involved their captain. Here he is back on the ball. Yaniotis out-fox Brad Smith. Goal kick Australia. Kyle Skibber, very experienced coach. Clubs such as Bayer Leverkusen back in his homeland and in Turkey with Galatasaray. Jason Gerrier trying to protect the ball. Deflected it towards Yaniotis, but Australia have it back. Nathan Burns, though, won't reach that. Economou there first. Given away cheaply by Torosudis, who've not said that much tonight. Now, corner of screen, that's the ambulance arriving for Asteras Karnezis, the goalkeeper who departed in the first half, and that's worrying news for the Greek contingent. We suspect it may be, not confirmed, but it may be broken ribs. after that first half challenge with Mile Jedinak, which leaves them, Andy, with just one fit goalkeeper. On this little mini tour of Australia. Here's a first involvement off the bench for Tommy Rogic. Burns. Rogic, quick feet, lovely stuff. That's what he can do.
It just takes your breath away, doesn't it? And it took everyone's breath away here. You probably would have heard it on the effects mic. Burns to Rogic, and this beautiful change of direction and change of feet. The shot lacked direction very obviously, and he is capable of the spectacular goals as well as one-on-one dribbling situations. Just beautiful.
Well, he will feel that the next 2 years are his time as Jedinak tries to keep pace with Yaniotis, who'll cross in towards Holebas, and it skins off the head of Jason Guerrier and out for a throw.
Just a couple of chances emerging for Greece in the last few minutes. Down the near touchline again. Yaniotis with the cross there, and it was Jason Guerrier who had plenty of time both to sum up the situation and also to anticipate someone challenging from his blind side, and he dealt with it in the end well.
We're just hearing a few chants of Hellas from the stands. Takes you back, Andy.
Takes me back. It's a great sound.
The Greek community have contributed so much to football in this part of the world.
It's been a very engaged crowd here. I'm not sure what the attendance is. That figure might be made public soon, but given the weather and everything, it's a good turnout. And a fair chance that people were just going to get saturated here tonight. And they've been really entertained, I'd suggest, by what's been a very, very open, fast game. Australia, the dominant team. They sit at 0-0 in that awkward position of ruining everything if they don't finish this off.
Friendlies haven't been kind to Australia under Postecoglou. They've won just 2 out of the 12 non-competitive games they've played under Ange. And they're still searching for the opening goal here. Smith's ball in. Looked to have a good tail on it, but it's fended off by the Greek defence. Economou behind for another corner.
Yeah, outside of Torosidis, the captain, and his raids down the right-hand side, their central defending inside the penalty area. Economou and Socrates have been outstanding for Greece. That needed to be, in truth, under real pressure.
Burns' corner. Oh, flicked on cheekily by Milligan at the near post, and Carpino might have been caught out.
Leckie was there too. The nearest of touches from Matt Leckie, and that's another goal for him there. Just couldn't stretch Leckie. You can't put that down as a missed chance. It just flew past him, but great stuff from Milligan.
You heard about the no-look pass. Was that the no-look shot? Talking of the Greek community's contribution to football in Australia, I know one Greek Australian who's here tonight. I'm sure there's plenty of them. That's Peter Katholos. I was with him last night. Launch of the Heartbeat of Football campaign. Very worthwhile cause being put together by Andy Pascalides, well-known football circles in Australia. Peter was telling me he's back playing in his 50s. He coached for a bit and he said, I miss playing.
I do wonder, did Andy Pascalides do his Peter Katholos impersonation last night?
He didn't last night.
What a great player, the Cat. Seriously, what a great player. Love to have seen him and plenty like him, his generation, with the opportunities of full-time football presented to the current crop through the A-League, and obviously those guys who go overseas. Another great Australian international acknowledged at half-time with the cap ceremony. Chris Kalantzis, Sydney Olympic hero, but also had a great career in Greece as well.
is Karnezis, the Greek goalkeeper, walking rather gingerly towards a waiting ambulance deep in the bowels of ANZ Stadium. Off, no doubt, for an X-ray, local hospital. Let's hope it's just bruising.
Outstanding again from Mark Milligan. He recovers really well.
More movement on the Australian bench. I think Ange is teasing the home crowd. They want to see Tim Cahill, but he's gone for Chris Economides, who's a fine player, of course, in his own right. Another one of Greek extraction. He's a late substitute against England. You don't need me to tell you that the crowd have seen Timmy putting his shirt on the big screens here. Meantime, here's Tommy Rogic showing that lovely balance. Just unable again to find a way through. And instead it's Greece on the counter through Yaniotis here. That's a good challenge by Degenek. Didn't rush it, waited for his moment. Solid tackle. Burns. Wayward pass from him. A little bit off his game tonight, Nathan Burns? Or is that harsh?
I think he's had some good moments. That wasn't one of them, and nor the one-on-one, obviously, but otherwise he's looked pretty quick across the ground. Beautiful exchanges with Aaron Moy and Brad Smith in that first half.
Torresides.
These switches of play are providing a really good test for Australia defensively.
Most of them are coming through Torresides. This is Holebas. Bakasetas has pulled away. And the cutback only finds Jedinak. Those little moments could still turn this game on its head despite the weight of possession for Australia.
There was your no-look pass, Simon. You talked about the Milligan no-look shot. That was a no-look pass, a la Steph Curry. But Tommy Rogic did it with his feet.
That's a real shank off the right foot of Brad Smith.
It's a good period for Greece. Really good opportunities brewing.
Yaniotis offside. And that will give Ange Postecoglou the chance to bring on two substitutes. And one of them in particular is going to get probably the biggest cheer of the night. Not just yet. Fourth official wasn't quite ready. Slipped through by Sainsbury. Leckie. Guerrier. It's a good ball in. Yanu. Trying to hold off the attentions of his marker, and he hangs it up in the air, and who should be there again for Greece but Torresides. That's a foul on Holebas. Now the double change for Australia. Nathan Burns takes his leave. Had that excellent chance first half. Unable to profit from it. And Chris Economides on for him. That's going to be a huge roar for Tim Cahill, who's about to become just the fourth Australian to go past 90 caps. As he replaces Apostolos-Yanu. Following in the footsteps of Mark Schwarzer, Lucas Neal and Brett Emerton, and very much the hero in these parts. And in fairness, most parts of Australia.
Oh, and in the north of England. I mean, the number of people we bumped last week who wanted to talk Timmy Cahill. It's amazing, amazing output, with more to come.
It was 10 years ago today, Andy, that Tim scored against the Netherlands in that friendly just ahead of the World Cup in Germany. Seems like yesterday. 10 years ago today. play by the Roos in midfield. Maniatis. Smith back in position quickly. A little bit of pinball for a moment or two. Australia getting clear. And Greece are going to make another change presently as well. Christos Adavidis to replace Yanis Yaniotis, who's been lively down that right-hand side.
Yeah, really good. Dangerous player. Not a lot of him. Low centre of gravity. Really small turning circle. Explosive speed. A nice cross at the end of it. We shall see what Adavidis has as his substitute.
One of the, Andy, local-based players, plays for Ajax Athens.
That's a high put on Milos Degenek, so free kick for Greece.
Socceroos wants a different ball. He reckons that one's flat. So we're sending for reinforcements or replacements. And they're a little slow to arrive. Eventually we do have a second football. And it's going to be Holebas to provide the in-swinging set piece. See how Australia defend it.
Jeez, dangerous. Matty Ryan was cooked. Good contact there. It's a beautiful free kick that swung in. I don't reckon Torosidis knew much about it, but...
Here's Holebas again on the right. As he managed to escape the clutches of Degenek, who stuck doggedly to the task. Well dug out by Holebas. Adavidis looking perhaps to gain at least a corner. Unfortunately for him, he's leaned rather too heavily on Degenek.
Yeah, well,
pressure relieved.
Good examination, sorry, Simon, for Milos Degenek. Beautiful left foot. Beautiful left foot on Holebas. A little bit of momentum for Greece. They're certainly warming to the occasion. Perhaps surprised and emboldened by the fact that they're not trailing in this game, which they very evidently should be, for Australia's lack of finishing touch. All the chances till now have been for the Socceroos. Most of the football match has been with the home team. But Greece growing in confidence. The stay of execution has, in more ways than one, breathed life into the Greek cause.
Well, most of the stats are in Australia's favour. Possession, total shots 12-4, but just 3 on-target efforts in the entire game, and just 2 of those belong to Australia, despite that heavy weight of possession. Let's see if Tommy Rogic can change that. Here he is on the charge. It's Rogic, and he's dragged his shot wide.
Had 2 options. Tommy Rogic, who believes that shot was saved. Referee having none of it. Pointed to the goal kick immediately. But look at Matthew Leckie, top of the screen. And Rogic has the decision. Do I feed this ball through or do I go myself? And it's taken a touch. It's a good save. And it should be a corner for Australia. He's done well. The stand-in, Capino. Great save off Milligan in the first half, and at full stretch denying Tommy Rogic and actually conceding the corner, even if the referee didn't see it that way.
Only played 3 times last season for Olympiacos, Stefanos Capino. You'd imagine, given that rib problem for Karnazes, he might start in Melbourne on Tuesday. A game, of course, you'll see live on Fox Sports. Here in Sydney, we've got about 13 minutes to run. Australia's still probing, searching for the breakthrough. That's clever feet by Bakasetos.
Beautiful feet. Australia's still working hard. Look at them in numbers. And frustrate them that they couldn't keep Greece on the near touchline. was worked out beautifully by Bakasetas. But still Australia pressurise. One flank to the other and they get their reward.
Heavy challenge by Holebas. Jedinak again, going to be on free kick duty. Good shake to that, Cahill! Goodness me, again the flag is up. Well, how many times have we seen that down the years?
You know, I actually don't think he collected this as he normally would. He's drifted offside there. It's a great call, again, from the assistant. And he hasn't caught that quite as he might. It's just slid a little bit, you could see, with the spin on the ball. Offside anyway, so it's a moot point, but the ever-present danger, the magnificent Tim Cahill.
Just 3 goals away now, Tim Cahill, from the magical 50 for his country. Target only last week for his club side, Hangzhou Greentown, against Jiangsu Suning, the club of Trent Sainsbury. And here he is battling for the ball, but he's holding his opponent back. Police have to be careful, but they've managed to play their way out from the back pretty well there. Under heavy pressure from the Socceroos. This is Aravidis. Geriat had to make that, and he did. Good, efficient work. Mikhail Skibber again, angry with the officials that they didn't get a free kick. Economou, one of his central defenders, down on the turf somewhere around the halfway line. Now the whistle does blow, and instead it's in favour of Australia.
Yeah, good run from Chris Economidis, really good run. We've only seen him in fits and starts in the national team. Here's a very welcome sight. Alex Gersbach's going to get a run. You'd suggest at that fullback. Not much time, but enough if you're a youngster.
Jackson Irvine also being ready. It's going to be another double change for the home team shortly. Not before this free kick can be taken. Economou now back in position for Greece. Fighting towards the near post, where it was met by the 6'4" tall Apostolos Velios. Home team still on the front foot. Rogic fires it in. Here's the chance, perhaps off the base of the post. Well, Trent Sainsbury, of all people.
Well, look, it's a beautiful run from Sainsbury too, if you don't mind. Shot on the turn. That's a striker's instinct from a centre-half. It's a beautiful run to get him in the space in the first place.
Let's produce another corner. Economidis, again Velios is there for Greece. Deganek in the deep. Header from Tatsidis. Brought down by Jedinak and lofted out towards Economidis again. Australia buzzing around that Greek penalty area once more. They want to make their changes now, though. And Alex Gersbach, about to become the 19th debutant of ANZ Postecoglou's reign. And it comes, incredibly, on the back of just 38 senior club appearances. 31 for Sydney FC and 7 for his new club in Norway, Rosenborg. Meantime, Mark Milligan to be replaced by Ross County's Jackson Irvine, who is also a late sub in Sunderland. Another good shift put in by Mark Milligan. Very much a first choice for Postecoglou. A chance for some of the French players to make their mark, not only in Sydney tonight, but It's in Melbourne on Tuesday as well. Economides trying to wriggle through a gap that really wasn't there, and he's done really well.
Excellent.
And Economou puts it behind for another corner.
Really encouraging from Chris Economides. Of limited opportunity. He's been in repeated squads, but we haven't seen a heap of him. Very effective so far tonight. Great stuff.
Economides' corner flicked on by Sainsbury again at the near post. He's almost playing as a centre forward at the moment, Trent Sainsbury. Alex Gersbach's first touch in international football. What about the cross? It's not bad. Nodded back in towards Leckie. Greece camped in their own penalty area. High ball in by Sainsbury, spilled by the goalkeeper. But under too heavy pressure from Tim Cahill, free kick Greece, and the goalkeeper's down again.
So, nice work from Alex Gersbach, his first touch. And Matt Leckie takes the ball away, and then it's easy from this vantage point. I got the feeling the attack lost steam at that point. If he can stop the ball and try and turn, keep Greece pinned in, I think the attack maintains a significant degree of momentum. Like I said, it's easy from the bleachers.
Aravidis, good touch by Velios. Greece are in behind here. Tatsidis cuts it back, and Velios made good contact, but didn't get the accuracy he needed. And the Australian defence was open up there for a moment. Staphylides fires in, I think, a cross. Maybe it was a shot.
Yeah, no, I'm putting that down as a shot. Much to the chagrin of a number of his teammates. They've had these moments, Greece, haven't they? To their credit, they've hung in the contest when they've been completely outplayed for most parts, but they've stayed alive. Care, I think, mostly of their central defenders who, as a last line, been outstanding. And there's been these moments, these heart palpitations for Postecoglou, that all the good work might come undone. Australia haven't been able to force home their advantage. That'll be the frustration. They've played some terrific stuff.
I think you read his mind there, Andy. A little shake of the head, wasn't there? He's rarely satisfied, even when Australia wins. So a 0-0 draw. Well, exactly leave him feeling cock-a-hoop, particularly against the nation of his birth.
Well, it hasn't been a 0-0 game, has it?
No, that's true. That, unfortunately, is still the scoreline. Not for the want of trying, that's for sure. It's beyond Rogic. Set up for Greece again through Torresidis. Always danger when he's on the ball, but that's a good, strong run by Leckie. And Torresidis gets the free kick.
I'm not so sure about this. You know,
well, I wasn't either, Andy.
It doesn't matter what we think.
It's the hesitation in our voices.
But I don't think you can be penalised for being more athletic, can you?
Well, I mean, he's closer to it than we are. Let's have another look. Well, there's an arm across, but there's not an awful lot in it.
There's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really. I mean, Torresidis has been Greece's best player, so if this is a reward for his particular effort tonight, then so be it. But I tell you, the Australians will be smarting if they concede from this.
Olevas was going straight for goal there. It rebounds off the wall. Tim Cahill in the left fullback position. As Australia look to launch a counter, it's Matt Leckie on the charge, and he is quick. He needs some help. And he's been dragged back. Free kick, Australia.
Well, that's good work from Greece. Really
Tempers fraying again, and we're going to have the first yellow card, which has gone to Socrates.
And it really wasn't necessary, because the 3 of them, Socrates was a key part of it. I mean, that's a free kick, there's no question, but it's not a yellow card situation. Throwing the ball away, it's silly. Even in a friendly match. Wonderful defending and recovery from Greece.
Well, if anybody thought this was just going to be a rather tame and timid end of season kickabout, they were sorely mistaken.
No, and I mean, you picked it right from the get-go. It was very obvious. The point then was made, well, we know the Socceroos under Postecoglou are going to play like this every occasion, so it depends on what the visiting team decides to do, and on that register, you've got to pay huge credit to Greece. And a lot of visiting teams in this situation would come and sit back and play out the 90 minutes. But Greece have had a go.
Well, they've got a lot to prove, particularly to their supporters after some of those horrendous results that they suffered in Euro qualifying. This is Leckie. Irvin. Goes back. And again, Economou, well positioned at the expense of another corner. That makes 7 now for Australia. Greece have won just the one. And it's the final 90 seconds of regulation 90. Just 2 shots on target for Australia, 1 for Greece. Goes back's corner, there's the goal! Tim Cahill, yet again. Always a popular goal scorer. Oh, hang on. Hang on. The flag is going to cut short the celebrations. Timmy doesn't know it yet. He does now.
This is an offside call, Simon, and I haven't picked it from the start, but let's see. Goes back.
Or is it because the ball's gone out of play?
Right, ball's gone out.
Flag's being raised, as you can see there by the linesman, before the ball hits the back of the net. It's not a popular decision. Among nearly 40,000 Australians, nor Timmy Cahill.
Great header. Oh, let's Foxfield this. Whole of the ball.
Well, linesman was convinced, wasn't he?
Totally. Totally convinced. Unfortunately.
We're into stoppage time.
Nice ball from Alex Gersbach.
Was.
Except that it went out.
3 minutes of added time.
Well, that's certainly woken people up. Not that that drifted off. It's been a really enjoyable encounter. And the questions after the game will surely be how Australia hasn't won this.
Now they must make sure they don't lose it. So Milos Degenek to that end with some very tidy work. Irvin trying to release Leckie. Was he fouled by Torresides? Listen to the crowd here. This is a friendly international. They're right into it. Nearly 40,000 tonight at ANZ Stadium. And it's been really good entertainment. And this is Holebas, who's contributed plenty off the bench for Greece.
Yeah,
and he's got another free kick for his team.
Hasn't he? Same old story in friendly matches. You know, the changes that have been rung have disrupted the game's normal flow. And Australia wasn't able, not that they're beyond the opportunity of winning this in its own right, but they weren't able to get clear over that 60-70 minutes when they had the original selection on the field and dominating.
Late change for Greece. Thanasis Postecoglou plays for Kortrijk in Belgium, on for Velios. It's fired across towards Aravidis. Australia need to defend it, and they have done, and it's with Tim Cahill. Another free kick. Clock ticks down towards the final 60 seconds. Is there a chance left for the Roos to win it again? Guerrier on his heels, but onside. Staphylidis seeing the ball out.
So we haven't mentioned Jason Guerrier much, but it's been a really good debut. There's the ball out. Geez, you've got to have eyes like a hawk to have picked that in a millisecond. Through 2 goalposts.
Well, he's dead in line, to be fair, so...
Well, I'm not saying it's wrong. Just got to say there's got to be a hook on the end of that nose. Some feathers down the arms. A brilliant, brilliant piece of spotting. Oh, what a fun night here at the Olympic Stadium.
All that's been missing is a goal.
Yeah.
We thought we had one just for a second. We might still get one. Rogic can't reach it. Gersbach will. There's plenty to try and pick out in the middle. Back off a Greek defender. Jedinak to try and put his foot through it. It's blocked by Tatsidis. Time almost up in Sydney. Gersbach's cross. And it's Matt Leckie on the turn! Wins it for Australia! As we tick over into the 4th minute of stoppage time, Matthew Leckie with a much-needed and long-awaited international goal will give the Socceroos the win here in Sydney.
Well, Alex Gersbach, really composed play. It's a brilliant first touch from Leckie. And all night, with their back to goal, when receiving the ball, the Greek defenders have been all over the Socceroos, but late in the game, they've just dropped off that yard or two. Matt Leckie senses the opportunity, fires through the legs of his immediate opponent, and it's the last touch of the game. Australia get what they deserve.
Well, Tim Cahill thought he'd won it for Australia. Matthew Leckie did with the very last touch. And it's back to winning ways for the Roos after the defeat against England. Australia once again too strong at home, just about, for a Greek team in transition. It's the same scoreline as it was in Melbourne 10 years ago. They'll be back in Melbourne on Tuesday, where another big Greek contingent awaits in the stands. And Australia, on this evidence, probably just about deserved that win. Their performance was good, and in the end, they got the goal that mattered. Full-time scoreline, Australia 1, Greece 0. Well, that was a thoroughly entertaining friendly international. Both teams contributing plenty on a bumpy pitch, tough conditions. Miloš Degenek did well in his first start for his country. ANZ Postecoglou gets a win against the country where he was born. Tim Cahill with a word or two to the referee, perhaps, still questioning why his late effort was ruled out, but in the end it didn't matter. Matthew Leckie popped up with a very tidy finish, just his 3rd goal for his country, incidentally. And Australia back in the winner's circle. Great stuff here in Sydney. Let's get some reaction now with Tara.
Yeah, thanks so much, Simon. I'm joined by Matt Leckie. You couldn't wipe the smile off your face before you left it pretty late, but what a great time to score a goal, the winner.
Yeah, you know, obviously it was the last second, so it was nice. You know, we got 2 games against Greece, and now we're up 1-0, so, you know, it gives us a lot of confidence. I think, you know, the conditions were tough today with the pitch and the weather, but, yeah, I still think in patches we played really well, and, yeah, like I said, I'm happy to score right at the end.
Look, it must feel like it's been a long time coming for you to get a goal for the Socceroos. Is that a bit of relief?
Yeah, definitely. You know, obviously there's a lot of talks that, you know, I don't score enough as a forward, and, you know, I always try to keep it out of my mind, and I also want to score. That's obviously clear that I would like to score more also for the national team. And, yeah, lucky, you know, enough I got one today, and hopefully I can start a bit of momentum with goals. And
you just got married. I wonder if that was any luck from the new wedding that came into play tonight.
Yeah, obviously, you know, married just a few days ago, so, you know, spirits are high, very happy, and it could be sort of a key to me, you know, scoring, but you never know.
The new husband, a big congratulations, Matt. Congratulations on the performance tonight.
Thank you.
I'm now joined by captain Miloš Jedinak. Miloš, wow, it came late, but a great performance yet again by the boys in conditions like this.
Yeah, it was difficult tonight. We always knew it was going to be that way. Pitch wasn't ideal for the style of football we want to play, but full credit to both teams. You know, it was a very competitive match, and I'm glad our tempo and our persistence got through.
You know, the questions have been asked, where is the goal going to come from? I swear you must have thought as well when Tim Cahill scored and it was deemed offside. I feel like everyone celebrated.
Yeah, one of those, you know, it was looking like one of those nights, but you know, the thing that we've learned over this journey over the last couple of years is that we never give up until the final whistle. ANZ demands that from us, and we demand that off each other. And you know, it's great to see Lex chip in and get the goal, but more importantly, the impact everybody made today, and the guys off the bench, superb.
and it's great. You get round 2, you get a chance to meet Greece yet again on Tuesday night, so just something to build on from tonight's performance.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's all about recovery now and getting ready for that game, and another tough task, no doubt. It's something we've got to look forward to, that 1-0 victory and try and build on it.
Best of luck. Congratulations, Millet.
Win's a win, and it's fair to say as we kickstart the post-game show, and stick around live on Fox Sports. Plenty to come in this post-game show. We'll hear from ANZ Postecoglou, we'll hear from the NAB Socceroo of the match, but get the initial thoughts of Mark Bosnich, Robbie Slater and Mark Gruden. First of all, was the right result?
Of course the right result. Deserved win under what were difficult conditions. And we'll touch on that a little bit later about the pitch. And, when you get these players back and you get international teams here, people have a right who have paid their money as fans to come and to watch something produced on a first-class pitch. And that was not a first-class pitch. For whatever reason, we understand there was State of Origin this week as well. But it does add to the spectacle, and it affected a great deal. But deserved win for the Socceroos. Well done to Matthew Leckie.
Robbie.
Yeah, look, I think it was a good exercise again, and this is what ANZ Postecoglou wants. He wants to expose a lot of his squad to international fixtures. Again, 5 changes from the England team, a lot of substitutions. Great to see a sub make an impact. Matthew Leckie, who needs a goal after he got married, a special week for him. Only his 3rd goal for Australia, and that's quite unbelievable, really, because he's had some terrific performance. He had a pretty good World Cup in Brazil. He just needs to add that to his game now to go to that next level.
Roots?
Yeah, again, another good experiment for Ange, and it's not just, I guess, the manner that, because we know the style that Ange wants to play. He's also looking for the right system that fits the players. And his best 11, I don't think he still knows what his best 11 is. And this is, yet again, they've changed up their system from the 4-4-2 they played against England. Tonight they went back to their 4-3-3, system, and probably it worked for them. Not to say they didn't work last week, but a lot of those players that got chances in the second half, they will get a lot more minutes on Tuesday night when they play Greece again. But like I said, fantastic performance. There was really only one team that was going to win that game based on the way the game was played. So, well done to the Socceroos.
Look, I think if you look at after the last World Cup, Ange wanted to find 2 players for every position, and that's what he's doing.
Boys, hold the more thoughts that you've got coming into your head right now. We're off to a short break here live on Fox Sports, but do stick around. We'll hear from Ange what the boss thinks of it all and all the highlights. We might relive Timmy's great celebration as well. So unfortunate. It deserves something more than that. Anyway, we're back in a moment live from ANZ Stadium. Welcome back. We thought that was the winning moment. Tim Cahill did as well for a good minute as he celebrated, unfortunately, but this ended up being the winning moment with the last kick of the match. Matthew Leckie with his 3rd Socceroos goal in 30 appearances. Great week for the young man. He's doing good things. He's actually the fastest player in the Bundesliga. There's a useless stat for you, and he's playing very, very well. It's useful. Okay, and now he's come up with a match winner for the Socceroos, making this man pretty happy. ANZ Postecoglou, welcome back to the coverage. And ANZ joins us right now from the bowels of ANZ Stadium. ANZ, congratulations. Did you think it was gone, though? Did you think it was going to be a night of frustration, not celebration at the end?
No, not really. I mean, we kind of said even at half-time that we needed to keep persisting, and it's part of our game plan to wear oppositions down, and you don't know when the opportunity is going to come. And Lex took his goal really well. I'm really happy when all the boys get married. It usually settles them down and focus. So, it was good. And I think just reward. I thought we deserved it on the night.
Ange, for you, who stood out for tonight for Australia?
Look, I think it was a really good all-round performance in difficult circumstances against a good opponent. But, I couldn't be happier for Jason Guerrier and Milos Stegenak in particular. They're 2 young guys and still learning their own trade, let alone international football. And to come in against quality opponents, I thought both of them handled the occasion really well.
And Angie, if you look at the left back position, Brad Smith's growing great guns there, and you've got young Alex Gersbach who's come on. For a long time we searched and we looked for left fullbacks. All of a sudden you got two beauties.
Yeah, look, it's. I guess that's been the most pleasing part of the process, Rob. You know that we've looked far and wide. We kind of kept an open mind about things. We're giving guys debuts even before they played senior football. But with a purpose. It wasn't just, wishful thinking. I've always believed that the players are there. We just needed to expose them a bit earlier. And, look, Brad had a tough night tonight, I thought. Not his usual performance. But, Alex came on, and when he came on, he looked right at home, which is great.
Andrew, question not just about tonight's game, but ever since you took the reins of this national team, how hard is it to implement a playing style being a national coach as opposed to a club coach?
It's just different, Rudes. It's obviously more challenging because you have less time, but the messages need to be clearer. You need to. I've got a great staff with me. I mean, Pete Klimowski, Ante Milicic, Tony Frank, and the amount of work they put just on the football aspect before we even get into camp. They drill down to the little details, and I think you can see it's working. Even tonight, I thought we dominated the game. All the kind of things we want to do as a team. I don't think the victory comes by accident. As I keep saying to the players, as long as we're doing that, we can analyse where we're going well and where we're not, because it's by design rather than just hoping for things to happen.
And Ange, one last one. We've got some pictures here of the pitch, and this is before the match. And this was the state that this patch of turf was in. It's so unfortunate because it is a magnificent facility here at ANZ Stadium. But once again, we've been served up this for a national team. Your take on it post-game? You had a few words to say the other day about it too.
Yeah, that was before I saw it. Look, I think I'm on record to say I'm embarrassed. I mean, I really am. We're hosting international teams here, and we keep talking about being the sporting nation of the world and having the sporting capitals of the world. And the sooner we understand that our game, specifically our game, needs a good surface for it to be called a world-class venue, the better. And it detracts from the spectacle. I mean, I felt for their players as well. I mean, a couple of them coming off the pitch were shaking their heads at half-time. Now, look, I can bang on about it, and people might think I'm whinging, but I just want us to be better. I keep saying that we need to feel better about ourselves, and what it's like. Bozza, you'll know what it's like when you invite somebody to your house. You make sure it's clean and it's nice and it's tidy and it's welcome. Yeah, and I think that's what we need to do as a nation.
Ange, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for that. See you on Tuesday in Melbourne.
Thanks, guys.
One quick
Boss's house isn't that tight?
Yeah, I know.
So you and I got dirty house.
Mess everywhere. It looks like a tip.
Absolutely spotless.
Okay, so
just a quick one before we move on.
Do you want to take over, Robbie?
We want to talk about the game and how good it was, but one point about the pitch. It's not good enough, is it?
No, it's not. And when you're charging people money to come and watch a game that's going to be affected, like Ange says, 100% right. It affects the spectacle. And if I was, if I'd paid money for tickets tonight, I'd be going back and actually saying, look, listen, unless this improves, I'm not going to come back here again, because that was in times during the game wasn't up to scratch, and a lot of the majority of times was because of the pitch, because it's impossible to play. Now, I played in England where 10 months of the year, basically out of that 10 months, 8 months, Robbie, you did the same, it was raining. Right, when I first went there in the early 90s, our grounds and that were so far ahead, they got carpets now, wherever you go. So they must be doing something right. So we need to send people over there. And the FFA need to have a look at the deals that they're doing with some of these grounds, because it's just not good enough. And it's going to hurt them commercially. So they've got to do that quick smart.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have to bring it up, but point had to be made, because the boss isn't happy and we want to see them play good football, and it's almost impossible on a, amateur league type pitch that's behind us. Rudes, your take on Matthew Leckie's well-taken goal. The number of times that, as Harps mentioned in commentary, that our attacking players turn and bang, there was a Greek player right up them, and even when they got the shot off, it was blocked. What was the difference here?
Oh, look, it was a smart little play, or a little ball in by Gersbach. It's a square pass on the edge of the area. Two players there. Jackson Irvine's the other one. I guess it's the first touch. As always, that sets him up. And he's so good in those tight spaces. You can see four Greece shirts or blue shirts around him, but he's able to turn on the sixpence, and second touch sets himself up, and a wonderful finish. And for any goalkeeper, I guess that's the place that you don't want the ball to go on your near post, because it can go between the opposing player's legs. It can go anywhere, really. So he'd done done everything technically right. And there's a good reward for a guy that probably hasn't scored as many goals as he'd like to for the Socceroos, or even his club career for that matter either. So he'll get a lot of, joy, and he'll be a lot more confident knowing that he's been able to score goals and hopefully more regularly for the Socceroos going forward.
Overall, second half, Robbie, a few changes made by the Greek team helped them for a little stage, but the game ended how the first half ended, all Socceroos.
Yeah, pushing forward. And Greece actually had a good little period of 10, 15 minutes where they looked like they might try and take some control away from the Socceroos. It really didn't eventuate, and you always had that feeling that a goal was coming, even though it came with virtually the last kick of the game.
Yes, it did.
See, that was a quick answer.
It was a quick answer.
You thought I was going to keep on going there.
Were you happy with the set? If they didn't get that goal, Boz, what would you have come away thinking about tonight?
Pretty similar to what I came around after England, the last third. Final touch, and when we spoke about Timmy coming on, when Timmy comes on, you feel as though you're going to score. He got unlucky, obviously, that a good decision, to be fair, by the assistant referee. It did go out from the corner, but he provides a different threat, and we need to finish our chances. Now, like I said to when we talked about the pitch, that would have played a little bit of a, little bit of a thing on the fact of the finishing, but not too much. Some of those chances that they had, they need to start sticking them away. You need to confirm your dominance through the score. There's no use dominating the whole game and you get to the last, literally 3 or 4 minutes and it's still 0-0, because anything can happen then. They can get a corner, and there's nothing worse when you dominated a game and 2 minutes to go, they've got a corner. So the last third and the finishing needs to be better.
Let's hear from another of the Socceroos stars tonight. Joining us downstairs, Trent Sainsbury, Socceroos defender, man extraordinaire in China right now. He's real big in China, Trent Sainsbury. You were good tonight, mate. How did you find your team's performance and yours as well?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that we were still able to play some decent football given the pitch and the conditions. But overall, I think the boys are happy. We got the win. I think the only thing we didn't do was score early, and it would allow us to play with a little bit more freedom. But at the end of the day, getting the win's nice.
Trent, what was it like playing alongside Milos Dejanek?
Yeah, Milos, I tried to give him as much advice as I possibly could. He'd done really well. He played like a seasoned pro, and obviously Jason Guerrier to my right, and we had Gersbach and Brad Smith on the left as well. So probably I'd say one of the youngest Australian back fours ever.
Any takers at the end there, or what?
I'll ask them about China. How's China treating you? I guess everyone spoke about your move to China, and you're playing week in, week out. Basically, you enjoying your time in Chinese football?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a long career. As everyone knows, football is not for your entire life. So I'm just trying to enjoy every adventure that I can be on. Trying to go on as many roller coasters as I can, because if life's easy, then you're not going to enjoy yourself as much. So I'm just going to take it all in my stride.
We did tonight again, Trent. Congratulations on your performance. Clean sheet, a win. Happy days. Well done, mate.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Let's have a look at the second half chances. Sorry, usually it goes 1-1-1-1, but Robbie and Roos just sort out their order.
No, I thought it was just you taking control.
Second half, Robbie. Take us through the second half and your take on it.
Look, I thought the second half started a bit slow, but I thought Socceroos were always in control in the middle of the park. For me, Jednak's been very good in the last couple of games. He's really controlled the tempo. He dropped actually between the two centre halves a couple of times, but really our high pressing game really does surprise teams at the moment, and it's the way he wants to play. Once Rogic come on, I thought he got in between the lines as well. Probably with Tommy, it's that finishing again, maybe a little bit like Aaron Moy, but there's great promise in this squad. I thought, ANZ Postecoglou said Brad Smith wasn't at his best, but I still thought he was pretty good. And I just thought we were too strong all over the park. Against a Greek side that defended well at times, but really lived on the edge.
I think you look at this match as well, Roods, and okay, we're showing all the chances here, but defensively, as a point that Trent made, he's the veteran, 14 caps before tonight, Brad Smith 7, Guerrier on debut, Gersbach off the bench on debut, and Deganek just playing his second match. So that's not a lot of experience, and I don't think Matt Ryan made a save.
No, he didn't, on any real note. And I was waiting to hear Trent answer that question when Bozza asked him what was it like playing alongside Milos, because it's extremely important, as far as I'm concerned, playing a stopper, that you are comfortable and you know the partner next to you, not just on your right or left-hand side, but also fullbacks. And he's had to play now with Guerrier, as you mentioned, and Milos, two debutants, basically. Not easy for him. It really isn't easy for him. And going into September, when we're going to be playing these qualifiers, yes, perhaps someone like Sporanovic is going to be playing alongside him, but in these testing times where the coach basically decides who plays where, it's never easy for players like that, because you have to get to know these guys, what their strengths and weaknesses are pretty quickly. And I do know within the coaching staff that when a new player does come in, the coaching staff do look to sit the players down and get to find out a lot more about them personality-wise, and also where they prefer to receive the ball, where they prefer to play the ball. So, for example, sometimes you see a left footer playing on the right-hand side and vice versa as well. So where they want the ball to be played and at what speed as well. So all those little intricacies, those technical aspects that are so important at this level are done way before the game starts to make it easier for these guys.
Let's now hear from our NAB Socceroo of the match. $1,000 to this gentleman's junior club and also himself as well. I think it's the Biron Sports Club. Millsy, you've picked that up thanks to NAB. Well done.
Thank you, guys.
What are you going to do with the 1,000?
Well, hopefully they get some new goals and do up their pitches down there or something like that, because I've been down there recently and they could do with it, I think.
Well done, mate. Your performance tonight, how do you evaluate your own performance?
Yeah, not too bad. Look, it was a difficult night, difficult conditions. We tried to stick to our philosophies and get in between the lines, face forward and play forward. And I think in patches we did that. I think overall to pinch a win at the end, I think was deserving.
And Millsy, I wanted to ask you. This is the England game. What was it like having to play in the back line against England?
Yeah, it was a bit daunting in the lead up, to be honest. I haven't done it for a little while, and I was a little bit concerned about my starting positions and things like that. But look, we're very lucky. We have Ante Milicic and Pete Klomovsky, and they gave me all the information I could possibly ever need to prepare for that match. So I think it worked out all right in the end.
Yeah, and tonight you're there with Mile Jednak and Aaron Moy. Do you have a discussion with Jednak, because he seems to sit deeper, but at times you do sort of rotate. Is there any sort of rule with that with Ange?
No, not particularly. I think we sort of have a look at how the game's going as well. Generally speaking, Mile does sit deeper. Especially on a pitch like this, you can go a little bit of time without really getting on the ball. So both myself and Aaron at times, if need be, can drop into that little space that either Mile leaves, or if the fullback pushes on, we can fill that space. So, we're encouraged at times to help each other and to fill holes where need be, both attacking and defensively.
Firstly, it was good to see you playing as a stopper against England, Mills. You're back to where you belong, mate. And all the hard work is still there, but more importantly, there's a lot of questions being asked about you personally. Where are you going to go? There's talk that you might be coming back to the A-League. There's talk that you could be going back to Europe. Can you put that to bed? Can you let us know a little bit about what your future holds?
Oh, mate, I'd love to. At the moment, it's just my own thoughts. I'm still contracted at Bunias, and I had a long conversation with them about my future and trying to find out, hoping maybe for a move to Europe or something like that. And I walked out with them offering me another 2 years. So I'm not sure what's happening, mate.
It's better to be wanted than unwanted, Mark. Congratulations on the performance tonight. See you in Melbourne on Tuesday.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
cheers.
See you, Millsy. Could have had a hat-trick.
Yeah, well, he thought he scored.
Should have had a hat-trick.
And he's not the only one who thought he scored tonight. Let's get to that moment where poor old Tim Cahill went off on one of the great celebrations. He threw his shirt up in the air, but the linesman was right on it, to be fair to him.
He was. The assistant referee was absolutely spot on with this. Unfortunately, the ball just went out. But I can understand exactly where Timmy's coming from, because he's making his run. You can't be offside from the corner.
Typical Cahill goal.
And I will say, as soon as he came on, forget about the fact that, like I said, the vast majority of people are here to see him. And there was a general buzz. And when he comes on, you feel as though Australia can score at any time. When he's not on, you don't have that exactly the same feeling. So, it would have been a bit disappointing for him, obviously, but it wasn't his fault.
The man he replaced tonight, Yanu, quick comment on him, his performance, Robbie.
Yeah, look, I think he's still getting used to the system, to obviously the way that Ange conducts things in camp. I think at times he looked a little bit lost in the front line, and they do rotate a lot, the wide guys. We had Burns and Cruz starting there, and he looked, sometimes he'd drift to the right when maybe he should have gone to the left. So, look, Ange has got great faith in him. He's already said that, so he's going to stick with him. And it might be just one of those that takes time, but
he needs a
goal, and he needs a goal where he's playing for Guangzhou RNF. He hasn't got one in 8 appearances, as we said in the pre-game.
For his national team, he risks turning into a Scotty McDonald if he doesn't get a goal.
Okay, fair enough. Roots, Milos Degenek, does he belong in a international arena?
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, I don't think there's been one player since Ange has taken over that has looked out of place, and I guess that's credit to the staff and the Socceroos who when they do bring these players in, they make them feel welcome. And also the senior players like Millie Rinek and Timmy Cahill, who really look after and embrace these young players and give them as much information as possible to let them know what international football is all about. And he certainly did his. It didn't do any harm to I guess his future in the Socceroos shirt. He did what he had to do. He was pretty solid in defence. They didn't concede a goal. When you walk away as a defender or a goalkeeper, as they'll tell you, you've done basically your job. And I thought he wasn't exposed when he was isolated in those 1v1 type of scenarios as well. Is just another one now that Ange can look upon and rely upon as well, if need be.
He's only 22. He's playing at a big club in Germany, as Roos mentioned in the pre-game at 1860 Munich, and he was good tonight. Here he is with Tara.
Yeah, thanks so much, Adam. Milos, congratulations on your starting debut tonight, as well as the result. It must be great to show Ange, I should say, what you're made of.
Yeah, it's really an honour to have played in Sydney for Australia, and I came home after 5 years, and now to start for the Socceroos, it's one of the best reasons to come back to Australia, and I'm really glad to show the boss what I can do. But it's not just about me; it's about the team. It's what we do as a group and as a unit to move forward every day, step by step, to go up and then to become a better team. And I think the way that the coaching staff tell us things what to do, I think we just implement it on the pitch and do it to the best of our abilities. And tonight it was good, and for me personally was an honour to play. Really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that it happened.
It was an experimental back four. How did those combinations go in camp alongside some new faces such as yourself?
I've known Trent Sainsbury since I was 15. I was with him at DIS. Brad Smith I played with in Dollyroos. Jason Gary I've known since DIS. And Matty Ryan I've known since I was 12. So it was, for me it was a bit of old faces, new faces. I really enjoyed it with the boys, and it was something that hopefully we'll keep on doing and keep on working, and I hope that it keeps just getting better and better like this. Tonight was very interesting and very good for us, and I enjoyed it. Playing alongside Trent, who's very experienced, playing alongside Maddie as well, also very experienced. They helped me a fair bit, and Mile in front of us helped me a huge deal, and I was really glad that I got to play with them.
Well, a big congratulations. Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, more to come for Milos. Now, a couple of things we've got to remind you of in the coming days. And firstly, an appeal on behalf of the Pararoos. Now, there's 700,000 people in Australia living with a disability, and these people in the Pararoos represent those people and indeed all of Australia. And we've got to send them to a World Cup qualification situation over in Denmark. They need $160,000. Go to the website that's on your page right now, gopararoos.com.au, and let's get them there, because they need to do well there in order to qualify for the 2019 World Cup. So go pararoos.com.au, and then it's go Matildas, go Socceroos on Tuesday night from ANZ Stadium, a double header. First up, Australia-New Zealand. The Matildas, they had a win this afternoon against New Zealand in Ballarat. They double up at Etihad, and that is followed by the second match between Australia and Greece. All the action live and exclusive from 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So, gents, that's about us this evening. You right there?
Yes.
Checking your tweets?
No, just checking all the notes that we've covered everything, Adam.
And have we?
No.
Ah, that's a shame.
His tweets.
Too bad. Roots, thank you for your company this evening.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert.
Bozza.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you for your company at home. 1 down, 1 to go. Hopefully the Socceroos can do the double over Greece. We'll find out on Tuesday night. I'll see you then.
This has been a production of Fox Sports.